I probably should start talking now, but now I'm just going to leave this nice dead silence because Kate messed up and I already did my intro.
Kate messes up most of the time, so.
It actually wasn't Kate, it was me not listening at all. Yeah, hey guys, I don't know if anyone's in the stream or not, but if you are, welcome to our second episode of Misadventures on the Astral Sea. Just because we had the misfortune of losing the, I guess they call it still VOD for Twitch. I don't really know what they call that.
The archive, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. We lost our first episode, so we'll try and give anyone a little better of a recap here. Not that, I mean, they just missed out on more shenanigans, and they'll just keep coming that way. So it's not like it's something you've super missed out on in that side of it. But yeah, the party started off. We did I think a little bit more of an original, but still more or less you met in a tavern. They just met out on the street. They got together, very quickly got hired because Captain Archie is just not a fan of taking time. He wants to get going. He had big deals to deal with. He's got moves to make. He wants to get out of this backwater system and get on to bigger and better things. So yeah, he shipped off his new crew to deliver some bodies. I forgot about that part. Yeah, to deliver some bodies to a postal office, which just got destroyed by a gauge, which is a large insect creature that the party quickly dispatched, not knowing.
I think it's important to note that they're the bodies of like the previous crew members.
Yeah, that is probably important.
Yeah, they're not just any bodies.
Yeah, that would actually maybe be weirder if they were just any bodies. You just picked up some bodies and started mailing them off to people. No, yeah, they were ex-crewmates. The two positions that Nadir and Chat, our newest hires, fill are frequently vacant. Maybe almost always vacant, but you know, they still seem to be filled at the right time at the very least. So what else can you ask for? Hopefully they'll last a little longer than the last guys. But yeah, after that whole fiasco and getting the bodies finally delivered, they quickly shipped off as the captain was excited to be able to take up another job for Fitz, one of the most common I guess contacts for the ship, which I guess in my recap I haven't even said the ship's name. It's the Curd. And so yeah, so he's been working with the crew of the Curd for quite some time, and they were, you know, quick and just shuttled off on that job. Things got a little weird. They randomly got slammed with a mysterious chest of which they couldn't really figure out its origin or its make. Which later on got traded off to the main mission objective. Hopefully that guy doesn't deal with too many consequences from that. But yeah, they interacted with that. They also found a helmless ship just afloat, about to run out of air, and they so kindly towed it, retopped up their air, and then cut them loose on the nearest shipping lane to be found by someone else. I mean, there's money to be made. The fact that they even actually voted to save them was super close. Those guys should have been happy that they got that much. Could have easily been left behind.
We shared our air with them, so I think that's pretty fun.
Yeah. That's a very intimate interaction between ships. They should be very happy about what you guys did for them.
There was no mouthing.
There was kind of breathing, though. Yeah, they dropped him off quickly and then continued on with their job for Fitz, which was just to collect some cargo that had been pilfered by a crazy old man who seemingly had been doing quite well for himself, as he had just a massive warehouse filled to the roof and blowing out the sides with who knows what, just a bunch of crates and boxes from the looks of it, but probably some highly valuable things somewhere deep in those, I guess you'd call them caverns of storage. Yeah, they met Old Man Jenkins and his crew of Mephits, who, you know, other than blowing off one of his Mephits' arms, they had a fairly good interaction. They traded off the chest for his last little fee that no one really had been told about, so aren't entirely sure where that fee came from.
That was suspicious.
Very, very suspicious. And yeah, then they just headed back off to go and drop off this collection of miscellaneous gear. They had done a quick check. There wasn't anything notable, at least at the current moment, just, you know, a lot of common trade goods. And yeah, they were heading off towards Fitz when they quickly ran into a group of Kindori, which, to people who aren't well versed in Spelljammer, that is massive space whales. I don't know what else to call them. They're space whales that feed on light and can blind things with their eyes. but are generally kind and playful creatures. So they did have a little fun with the ship and knocked them off course a bit, and then kind of went off on their own way. And that was the end of it. We kind of cut away just as they were getting on the closer side to Durkane, where they're meeting with Fitz. I don't think I missed anything. If anyone remembers anything else that I forgot, feel free to chime in.
I think you covered it.
Yeah, I think that was about it.
Yeah, I mean that's got to be the most thorough backtrack I've ever given, because most of that wasn't even from my notes. So hopefully it's somewhat accurate. Not that anyone can fact check me. So I just made a full story.
Chat would be very disappointed that you didn't mention Crunch at all. But you know,
absolutely, I missed the ship mascot.
Crunch too.
The most important part. Come on.
Like very easily the most important part. Definitely the cutest part of the crew, especially with its little side saddlebags that Nadir rides in, his chat rides on top. I mean,
Oh yeah.
that was very rude of me.
Like
Honestly,
a little sidecar.
It's my character.
I mean, also in my defense, you didn't use Crunch at all, or even acknowledge that Crunch existed.
Yeah, I mean, I really didn't want the Gauge to like murder us all, even though it was severely wounded. I'm like, I kind of don't want my space hamster to die in episode 1.
That's fair. Yeah, I don't blame you. I feel like if I ever had a pet in any games, I would absolutely be keeping them from harms at all time. Like they would be riding on my back, and like a little baby Bjorn or something.
That's why I would never bring a pet in, because I know that any of my friends who DM kill it immediately.
I kill it.
Yeah, unless you're Affy and you just want the dog to die, and you're like, oh, yeah, I'm gonna send it in first for a horrible death.
Yeah, Affy's a
I think
monster.
that's the best use of pets. Anytime I've had a goat or something, that's what it is. It's a trap tester.
Terrible.
But a goat is still different than like an
Don't demean Crunch, sir.
Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah, I don't imagine Crunch will be doing a lot of trap testing.
No.
But yeah, I mean, I guess we just get into it now. Like, episode 2 of Misadventures on the Astral Sea. Oh, maybe not. We just lost someone. We will wait a second. Oh, and we are back.
Sorry.
No worries. Okay, well, yeah, let's just get back into it. I do want to throw a little bit of preface at you guys as you are heading towards Durkane. It is considered the jewel of Margot space. I don't know why I write these stupid little notes. I wrote in brackets, more like polished turd. It acts as the center of Margot. Anything interesting going on in the system is going on here. Not that there's that much going on. There's, some basic trade, the odd people coming through, making a quick stop, but overall, the only work that goes on in Margot space is stuff that's happening in Margot space. It's not exactly a international mecca by any means. But yeah, the notable things about Durkane is that it has 2 spelljamming ports. They're not, they're more notable in size compared to the one on, I can't even remember what I called the first place, but whatever.
Erd.
Yeah, that's it, Erd.
This is the first campaign I've ever taken notes for, including the one that I DM and have as a podcast.
I feel so honored. Well, here I'll throw a little bit more stuff at you. So the 2 ports are Ardane and Gulch. I feel like since you've all been hanging around the system, you'd have a little bit of idea of what these places are. Ardane is fairly large, has a large population of roughly 50,000 people. Small compared to, some of the real major spelljamming ports of the larger systems, but notable enough that, people are, it's considered the most, I guess, happening place of all of Durkane. And then Gulch is maybe a little more your guys' speed. It's a seedy backwater port. It's used mostly by those who don't want any questions asked. It's an interesting piece of, I guess you'd call it, politics. It is the only remaining city-state on Durkane, and pretty much everyone understands that the reason why it is the only independent place left on Durkane is that everyone has the advantage of having a place where you can do shady business and no one asks questions. So this city just managed to set itself up so well and be so useful to everyone. in that side of things. Like if there's something you want to find, you're gonna find it in Gulch, no matter how illegal or problematic it might be. Yeah, a little bit of grease and palms and some shady business has just kept it running for years and years. But yeah, you guys know that you won't actually. I guess Nadir and Chat wouldn't know, but Valerius and Kiaki would know that you guys won't actually be stopping on Durkane for this, as Fitz is a little too affluent to be having his business even being handled on planet. He is on one of the many moons that orbit Durkane. They're a little less named. They're not so important. I believe he does like to call it Alpha 1, but you guys have never heard anyone else call it that, so you feel like it's just him trying to like make himself sound more special, like he's on the number one planet, or moon of the planet. But it's just a small planet covered in a ton of forest, and he has carved out a nice little compound inside of it. There's even a man-made lake there, which allows spelljammers to land, well, the ones that are specifically built for sea travel. So he obviously does a lot of business through here. He does all of his own shipping through this place, saves a bunch on taxes, all of that great money laundering, maybe even, who knows,
Wow,
it's just
he's
your
big time.
typical, I wouldn't go oligarch level, but pretty, yeah, like he's done well for himself. He has his fingers in pretty much every piece of business that goes on in Margot's system. If someone's making money, he's at least making a cut off of it. But yeah, you guys know you're getting close. You're probably only a couple hours away from Durkane, and you guys are starting to interact with the asteroid belt that orbits around Durkane. It's easily traveled. There's nothing major, and actually a lot of people use it for various things. You can see the odd settlement, people just kind of homesteading on it, living their little lives, maybe trying to farm something in their little air envelope, but you're not seeing a lot. You see the odd little small town where you see some multiple asteroids more or less just strapped and chained together to make a large enough mass where you could build a small town of 10 to 15 homes. But they're all pretty unnoticeable and nothing that interesting. The only thing that does really catch your eye is one shop that you guys hadn't seen yet, which is hard to be certain whether you haven't seen it or like if you have just not gone by it yet, but it might be new, who knows. And you see a big glowing sign on top of it that says the Tinker Trunk. And you see like one of those wavily arm people. You better believe it. I'm gonna reference everything that I can. And you see this massive waving arm tentacle person-y thing. It looks kind of like a plasmoid, but you can tell that it's not actually like a creature. It's clearly just to draw people in. But yeah, outside of that, it looks like all of their money went into their sign and their little wavy arm guy, because it's a pretty ramshackle little shack. It's called the Tinker Trunk.
Just a little reference to season 2 of Cantrips and Coffee.
Aw.
Mm-hmm.
Only true fans would know that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Cade lost a nose on that one.
Yeah, and I'm referencing myself too, so
You
it's
are.
like the best reference. I make the best stuff. Don't you guys know that?
It's true.
But yeah, it's a pretty ramshackle building. And you can see little odds, bits and ends. It looks more like a scrapyard than anything else. And it's just, kind of floating there. Doesn't seem to be getting a lot of attraction overall. And you don't know how successful of a business it is, but it exists.
A scrapyard, you say?
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps there might be some parts there to repair a auto gnome, perhaps.
I mean, if there's
That's a
gonna
good
be
guess.
anywhere that you've seen, this is a good start.
Nadir would definitely be tugging on Chat's coat to like take him over there and pointing.
Real quick, Jaden, since we
Mhm.
didn't get to like share the previous episode, and this might be some people's first time, do we want to say like who we're all playing, in case this is like technically the first episode now?
That is a great idea. I hadn't really thought of that. Might as well reintroduce ourselves and maybe give you guys a chance to say anything new that you hadn't about your old selves. But yeah, our crew is made up of I know DMPC, but he does the least amount of stuff, and even calling him an NPC would be pushing it. We have our captain Archie, and he is really pretty much there because he owns a ship. And then we have the rest of our crew. We have Chat. I'll let him go first since he so graciously suggested this idea. Why don't you let us know a little bit about yourself?
I was just thinking about it because I was like, oh, I wonder if anyone knows, like, other than us playing, who Nadir is and like why this would be important to him.
It's a good
So, yeah.
idea. I'd probably do it often, honestly, like throughout the game.
Yeah. So
No.
yeah, I mean, I'm Rick. I'm the dungeon master for Hammer of the Gods, and I'm playing Chat, the Thrycreen Horizon Walker Ranger. I don't really have a whole lot to say, but you know, at least now people know if they didn't get to catch the first stream.
And I mean, they did get to hear a little bit about Crunch, and I feel like that's one of Chat's most key features. So
Yeah. The most important thing about Chat is his giant space hamster.
And then we have our little auto gnome friend who is excited about parts, Nadir.
Hey, I'm Ruin Ortega. I'm the host of the Cantrips and Coffee podcast, part of this network channel thing, whatever we are now, as well as I'm a co-host, actually. There's a whole bunch of us over there. Sorry, Cade.
I was going to give you a hard time when it rolled around to me.
Of course you were. Yeah. And I'm playing Nadir MK0, the auto gnome, and I'm a prototype who is searching for his creator because he was left in sleep mode and many of his parts were scavenged and salvaged by people who were less than reputable. So that is why he would be interested in finding a scraps place to replace some of his missing pieces.
And those make up our two newest parts of our crew. We also have our staples that have been a part of this ship for quite a long time. We have Kiaki.
I'm Kayla. I'm from Potions and Potpourri podcast, and I'm playing Kiaki, the Vidalcan Artificer. She is blue-skinned with kind of like white markings and is wearing a lot of metal on her face and on her body. And she's the whole reason that this ship runs so well, because the captain sure doesn't know what he's doing.
Not at all. And then we have the face of the ship because everyone else decided charisma would be their dump stat, Valerius.
Somebody had to do it.
We'll see how well the voice goes. I'm playing Valeria's Strong Arm. Glory of the Strong Arm generations. I'm a paladin, and I am out trying to establish as much glory as possible for my family, and meta trying to keep my voice to the end of the stream. So
That's fine.
Yeah, quite the random crew, a Plasmoid, an Autognome, a Thrycreen, a Velkadin, and a Gif, but they make up maybe, if not the craziest crew, the least most interesting crew out here. Like, I don't know who else is really bringing that much diversity.
That's right.
The gold standard for diversity in the modern world, yeah.
Yeah, screw all those mono-raced, crews, all those elves just running around by themselves. That's gotta be boring.
I agree.
What else?
And I guess there is one other notable person. I am so rude for not giving him his most appropriate introduction. Trent the Trient. He makes up the core component of their living ship. He is just, growing right out of the center of the ship and doesn't say anything other than a little bit of, imaging and whatnot to chat to get some amount of communication. And yeah, he seemingly is a lot happier having the two new crew members, as he's gained a significantly larger amount of agency than he has maybe ever had in his entire life, including maybe a vote that's still up on the table.
At least half
And
of it.
he got watered for once.
Yeah, getting watered was a pretty big deal for him. Everyone just kind of assumed that, it's called a living ship, it must just live.
it's in the name. I mean,
yeah. And I mean, from that watering, you guys would have noticed just the beginning of a few buds growing on the tree. And the captain would have been very excited about this because he was told that this ship would produce fruit, but he's just never gotten any. And he was always very mad about that. He never really read the manual on it, so he maybe would have figured out why he wasn't if he had just spent, even 5 seconds thinking about it. But yeah, it's a pretty impressive sight overall. Trent is, not maybe back to tip-top shape, but he's a little more lush and seems to have at least enough energy to start the process of producing some fruit.
I mean, can Archie actually read though?
I don't know. I mean, can he? Who knows? He likes everyone to think he definitely can, I would assume. It's hard to be a useful noble if you can't read, I would assume, but also I like the idea that he just pretends to read everything.
Roll for literacy.
Nat, 5. He's illiterate. Totally illiterate.
Really good at
that in my notes. Oh, absolutely. Again, like, you can't just be the 313th vice count of your planet and not know how to read, right? Like, no one's gonna believe that. But yeah, you guys see that asteroid kind of going by. Archie is currently on the helm. He doesn't seem to have any major interest in stopping at this moment. Not that he would probably even really... Well, I guess he can see what's coming by, but yeah, he doesn't have much interest in the Tinker Trunk at this moment.
So, I mean, Rune, you kind of mentioned that you were like tugging on Chat's sleeve.
Yeah, definitely.
So one day he's wearing a sleeved shirt.
Yeah, it could have been like the side bit. I don't know what to call it. The side of your jacket. Yeah, he would definitely want to like point in and almost like ask permission, right? Again, he's really childlike, so he'd want to see what Chat would want to say about it.
I think we could ask the captain. That seems like a good plan.
Okay, then Nadir is gonna run way over to the captain and just like almost run into him again. And I have confirmed that autonomes are very small, so he can like reach up and like again start pulling on his like jacket, or if he doesn't have a jacket, then it's like his goopy arm or whatever he has, you know.
So yeah, so the captain would currently be in the helm, so you could absolutely run down to him. And as you come down and start pulling on his cuff, you'll see him like kind of look down, and no, he doesn't maybe have, eyes in the same way that most people would understand them. He does have organs that float through him that do function as eyes, and you see them kind of like slide over to the side of his face and aim down at you and give you a little nod. I don't know if they can. How do they communicate when they're in their chair? Now,
while you're looking that up, I just can't help but picture him with googly eyes now.
I like that. That's why he can't read. He actually can't see. That's it. Absolutely. He just has googly eyes that he's absorbed into his face to make people believe that he can see.
They're like
I can't
way
give him
recessed,
many
though.
disabilities. We're not going to go that far, but I do like the idea. I would imagine that they would be very rudimentary. I always like the idea of him being like so nondescript. He doesn't want to really like... He wants to catch attention for like what he's done and maybe his dress and his style, but he doesn't really want someone to be like, oh, here comes a face and know who that is. He kind of likes that almost anonymity that comes with it. So he never really does take on a hard features with his plasmoid shape. So I like the idea of him having these very nondescript, big, round, white eyes with just big, round, black pupils in the center of it.
I feel like
He
Whips
is like Space Gumby.
Did you say Space Gumby?
Oh, so he really is like Space Gumby.
Pretty much. Just a deep blue. And wearing very fancy captain clothes. Way too fancy for this ship. Like, every time he rocks off, people probably snicker at him because it clearly looks like he's trying to put on a presentation more than anything else.
I mean, you definitely shouldn't talk about the Kurd that way. It's a fantastic ship.
It's not that the Kurd is inherently an unqualified ship. It just looks like, a very run-of-the-mill ship, and he looks like he should be coming off of, like, a noble vessel, that is only made of gold or something like that.
I don't even know this ship yet.
He's like so like protective over it.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how he would communicate. I'll just say he kind of dissociates from running the ship for a second, looks down, and kind of just says, what can I do for you, Nadir?
Captain, I see an establishment to go get new parts. As you know, I'm lacking in many.
And he looks over, yeah, I know.
May I have permission to leave the ship?
And he kind of stops, and he's like, I mean, we got to get to Fitz. We're on the timeline, and he kind of thinks, he's like, and he just like kind of really wraps it up. And he figures, he could put it to a vote, but likely that the vote's gonna end up being a stop anyways. So he's just like, oh yeah, I'll stop. If anyone gives us any crap, then we'll talk this. But yeah, man, you can go and grab your parts here, but make it quick. We got no time. And he kind of just like sits in the helm, like he's currently ready. That the moment you get back on the ship, he will be heading off again.
And without him, like even in the slightest consenting, Nadir is just gonna give him the biggest hug and be like, thank you, and like squish him, even though it's like just oozing everywhere, I imagine. Nadir doesn't know personal space, and then he's gonna just go flying off with his arms behind him.
The captain will like kind of retain Nadir's shape for a second. Like he probably didn't want to let on that he enjoyed that hug, but as this kind of refined, pulled back person, he doesn't maybe get a lot of those moments, and I think that he would have enjoyed that too, and want to remember it for just a second with his plasmoid muscle memory.
So is he just like doing the thing where you like hug yourself?
Yeah, kind of. Just kind of there's the little gap where Nadir was, and then you can see his little face implanted in the center of his plasmoid chest.
Somehow we are simultaneously like degenerates and incredibly
adorable.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody needs a family. It doesn't matter how hardcore you are. A murderer still wants someone to come home and cuddle with that night.
That's what I learned
Usually a
from Lilo
corpse,
and
but-
Stitch.
But yeah, the show slips or stops, and with him sitting in the ship, it's not going to go anywhere. So you guys are just kind of floating. Where you'd think that a very quick jump off onto the asteroid, you would pop into its air envelope. There's no major worry of suffocation or anything like that.
Cool. Yeah, he would like just run full tilt for the door, hoping that chat's behind him, whether he is or not.
Yeah. Does anyone else want to be going in there, or who's gonna stay on the ship, if anyone?
No, I definitely want to go in there. This sounds like my heaven.
Yeah, I think I'd probably go just for like stretch your legs and
Yeah, absolutely. As
Chat
you
is,
guys
like,
all.
Leave
behind,
Archie on the ship.
Yeah. Chat's just like
Um,
watching Naruto run the whole time.
Nice. Is Crunch also gonna be going with you, or will Crunch be staying on the
absolutely.
ship?
Absolutely.
Okay. So just so you're aware, as you guys come up, you do see that the shack is about the size you expected, obviously. It wasn't going to be somehow mysteriously larger. It is very small. It's maybe, got like 20 feet by 20 feet wide from what you can see. And yeah, there's no way that Crunch would even fit in the door, and let alone probably fit in the space. As you guys do get to kind of peer through the window, and you see that there is not a lot of open space in there. Like, it is packed to the brim with bits and bobs and odds and ends. Yeah.
Nadir would just like start just like going around and touching everything, and if anybody tried to talk to him immediately, he would be ignoring them.
Yeah, I mean, Nadir would be in just a smorgasbord of parts and, like I said, little bits and bobs, screws, nuts, plates, any little, just exactly what you'd expect. If you went to a junkyard and some guy decided that he was going to pull all the best parts off, that's what's in here. But it is just like, even trying to find something you would want would almost be impossible. There is some sensibility of organization. Like, there's a wall of screws, but then even in the bins, they're not all really the same screws. And it's clearly, if you wanted to go through and inventory this whole place, it would maybe take you your entire life, even an auto gnome's entire life.
Is there anybody running the shop?
Yeah, so as you guys would bust in and quickly go through digging, you don't see anyone immediately, but then you do hear a door open from the back, and you see a fairly tall tiefling woman. She walks in, she's got deep purple skin, not anything really outside of that being really notable, because they are covered in just a large, leathers all over. They have big goggles sitting on the top of their head. They look like someone who has just come out of a welding shop. And they're carrying a ton of, and so they've got grease and grime all over them and all of that stuff. And they got a big armful of more bits that they come around and they start dropping them into the spots as they see you guys and look around. They're like, "Oh, hi! I wasn't expecting anyone. It's been a little while since we've had anyone in. Can I help you find anything?"
Are you the purveyor of this fine shop?
And she looks down at her armful of bits and she's like, "I mean, no one else puts this stuff out, so I guess I would say yes. I'm the purveyor."
Oh, you have a system here.
as she kind of looks it over and kind of like, I mean, I have a system. I don't know if other people would understand my system, but I can
Oh.
find 90% of what's in here.
I love systems. Perhaps you can teach me the system and we can find what we're looking for.
And she starts to unravel this like super elaborate system where like you feel like it's alphabetized for a second, but then next thing you know, you see like a Z beside an S, and then an A over by a B, and you see, like you said, like you think you got an idea, you go over and you see some plates, just some big chunks of steel plates and whatnot, and then right beside those is just little plates of china, and you don't even know why they're selling these fine little things there. And as you kind of hear the more and more of the system, you realize that it seems that this is literally they just kind of know where everything is in this chaos, and they're calling it a system maybe to make themselves feel a little more secure in their organization. But you get a feeling that it's more about the items that they're interested in, and the just collecting all this mass stuff, and maybe finding some interesting people to talk about tinkering is really more of their focus that organization would have ever been.
Do you think Hyake though would kind of understand what she's thinking with the system at least?
Yeah,
like I think,
I think it would allow Kiyaki to be able to like not be looking in the totally wrong place. You're not gonna look for, you're not gonna find a screw in a pile of wrenches or something like that. So you could very easily you could find the general area and then maybe have to do some digging for the specific parts that you'd be looking for in this building without having to ask the purveyor, which I didn't even say their name, but I feel like they'd be too focused on talking parts and excited about having customers to even have taken the time to introduce themselves.
Nadir, can I help you find your parts?
I'm looking.
And he's just like tossing things around and completely disrupting the organization.
I'm like, what about this? And I show him like a little gear.
No, not quite. I need an orb. I need a metal orb.
An orb, you say? I help him look.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, as you two are kind of rummaging around, you do notice the tiefling just kind of like poking their head around the corner and like very intently staring at Nadir as they kind of come closer, and they flip down their goggles and you see them start to like key them in a little bit as some like magnification goes down, and they get close to looking at you and touching you, and they're like, and they think for a second, they're like, no. I can probably help you find some useful parts if you let me kind of give you a quick inspection. You just look so interesting. I've never seen anything exactly like you, and I think I need to understand you a little bit better before I try and find stuff for you.
Isn't he fascinating?
Yeah, absolutely. I've never seen anything like this, and they don't
look at this thing, and I like poke his stomach, and something probably happens.
I think his hatch would open up,
Yeah.
where it's supposed to be like his memory bank, but it's like empty because he's missing parts of his memories.
And I'm like pointing, I'm like lifting the little flap up. I'm like, see, it's completely empty.
And she looks in there. She's like, "Oh my god, that's crazy." I mean, and she
I've
kind of
never
thinks
seen anything
about,
like it.
yeah. She's like, "I mean, no, but," and does like a quick little think about it and is really wrapped her head around it. She's like, maybe, just maybe, I've seen something that would fit in that slot. And you can see that the slots are all very like differently shaped for what Nadir is saying would be his memory cores and stuff like that. And they're such a strange shape that like anything that would be designed in that shape, like what else would it be? Like if you've seen anything that even remotely filled it, like I don't know where else you would ever go, because the shapes are not something you would see in any other kind of creation.
It's like the star blocks, like in those kids' puzzles.
Yeah, pretty much. Just like slightly more abstract. And so yeah, they see this weird wavy shape, and they kind of think, like, no, it couldn't be. And they like kind of really try and run through this big catalog, and like, I may have seen a strange object on a ship. And they kind of think, they're like, God, years ago. I don't even know where they would have gone by now, but I swear I've seen something that would fit in there before.
And at that second, Nadir would like stop what he's doing and like turn and say,
You need to tell me everything now.
Uh-oh.
Are you trying to be intimidating?
No, but it's his lack of charisma. Like he doesn't have any tact. He's gonna be demanding, like a child would.
Mm-hmm. Instead of asking politely for something like that, and the person kind of thinks like is a little step back, because they're like, wow, that was really bristly. It's like, I mean, I've got no secrets per se. I mean, it was a ship that was just traveling by through one of the trade lanes and they really think about it. They're like, it's gotta be 3 or 4 cycles ago. I said, yeah, I don't know. They were just a group of astral elves. They were strange. I've never seen astral elves deal in, I wouldn't call it scrap, but parts. They actually had some fairly high quality stuff, but nothing that was in my price range by any means. But yeah, outside of that, I couldn't really tell anything about you. I think it was a damselfly ship. Outside of that, I don't know. I haven't seen anything like them around since. And they kind of like take some time to I might be able to dig up a little bit more on it. Let me see. I'll talk to some friends. I know that they did stop at some other scrappers that I know, and maybe they did more business with them. I'll see what I can find on that kind of stuff.
And then he's gonna just completely flip that like personality, be like,
Thank you so much. What's your name?
And she kind of tunes in for a second. It's like, oh my god, I didn't even introduce myself. I'm so sorry. I'm Glaudia Turan, and yeah, this is my operation. This is the Tinker Trunk. I don't know what else there is to say about myself. I think you've got my general idea. And she goes and moves another part and stuff like that, and then gets back into looking at Nadir, thinking about something.
and Nadir would finally be like, I need an orb.
You see, I have a lot of spell casting to do, but taking up my hands is so much work. So I'd like to make my spellcasting item come from this orb and use my telekinesis to do the casting.
She kind of thinks about it, and she's like, oof, that's interesting. I mean, let me think. And she says, do you mind if I just look over your paneling a little bit?
If it makes you happy.
Yeah. So, yeah, absolutely. There's no
Cool.
question that it makes her
I want
happy.
to see too. And I
there's a
just
big-
squat down right next to her.
Yeah, this big smile wraps across her face, and she goes and starts poking and prodding, and she does find what looks to be maybe it's not entirely what is supposed to go there, but there is this weirdly rounded space that looks like it could very easily fit the proper sized orb inside of it. She's like, ooh, yes. And so she goes and she starts digging around, and she can't seem to find anything. She's like, give me 1 minute. And she goes and bolts out the back door, and you can hear a lot of stuff collapsing, and you hear a torch click on, and you start hearing something's getting hacked off. And they come back in, and they have it doesn't even look like it's anything that crazy. It is just a large orb of pure gold, or at least covered in gold, but I mean, you don't know how someone would put that layer of gold, whatever's inside of it, who knows. And they look and they're like, I think this should be conductive enough. I know that some people like to use gold as one of their main factors in their magical creations. And she kind of goes and then pops open where she was looking previously and sees that there is a lot of gold wiring and etc, like circuitry and stuff inside of me. She's I think that'll work. And she busts it open, and she's like, I mean, I'll need quite a while to install this, but I mean, if you guys
Can
have
I
some
help?
time. And she kind of thinks about it, and she's like, yeah, I think so.
I'm actually quite good with this type of material. Show you a thing or two.
Oh man, so she gives it a moment. She says, yeah, absolutely. I think between the two of us, we can probably get this installed pretty quick. But before, she's been so wrapped up in the concept of giving you this item that she just now tunes in. She's like, oh, but a fee. We should figure out a fee first.
We can talk about that later. Let's work first and see what it's worth once we get inside of it.
Okay, you wanna hit me with a persuasion check?
Let's see. Oh boy. That's a 14? Oh, 12.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that Glaudia would need too much prodding to go with it. She's like, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you guys seem great. I've never met a tinkerer who didn't pay their bills. Kind of forgetting all of the bills that she has forgotten to pay over the years.
Never. I also put down my goggles, so we match.
Yeah, so she gets all excited and grabs Nadir by the hand and kind of carts you off to what is the only surprising part about this is that there is another room somewhere hidden in all of this stuff. She moves a bunch of items across and opens up what would probably be a closet, but is just large enough and has a little tinkering bench inside, just big enough for Nadir to sit on. I guess almost kind of looking like a changing room in this situation. But a much fancier one with a lot of wrenches and all of these various bits and parts all around, and some interesting magical implements that seem to be able to analyze things or be imported into things to do diagnostics and etc. And she asks Nadir if he would be comfortable laying on the table.
He says yes, and then he immediately goes into his sentry's rest, where he can last the 6 hours for a long rest, but he remains alert the entire time.
Nice. Yeah, so she kind of sees you as you don't fully shut down, but you reduce a lot of your systems, and is happy to do that. The less electricity flowing through all of this stuff, the safer it is for Kiaki and her. And yeah, she just starts grabbing some various parts and pulls away a couple of panels and reveals, the inner space is also kind of made of gold. You're not sure that maybe you could find something better to place inside of there, but at this moment that there's clearly some circuitry that is not being properly connected in Nadir right now, and inserting something into there will at least kickstart some of it. And so yeah, she starts kind of digging around, and she's asking Kiaki for the odd bits and pieces, hand her some tools. She kind of steps off to the side, gets your insight into what do you think about connecting this to that and all of those things. And then I'm going to get you, Kiaki, to make me a... what do I want? I feel like... no, that doesn't seem right. Let's just go with a flat intelligence roll for this. I think that's fair.
Perfect. That's what I'm really good at. 19.
Dang.
Yeah. Absolutely. You not only don't slow Gladia down, you end up providing a very big boon. You speed up, obviously, just doing all of the little bits and bobs that it's nice to have a helper with, but then you've brought some very great insight into the whole operation, and you guys get that gold orb installed in no time. It only takes you 20 minutes. Gladia was certain it was going to take days just to be able to figure out all of the circuiting and wiring, but it seems that the amount of time that Kiaki has spent looking over Nadir over these, maybe it's only been 2-3 days, has already gained a lot of insight into some of the more basic workings of Nadir's systems. So yeah, you guys get it installed quickly, and as soon as Nadir kind of reboots himself, he does feel a closer connection to his magic. In a sense, it flows a little bit differently, and he doesn't feel like he'll need to use his hands as a part of his casting anymore.
Nice. And as part of the meta narrative of this, I chose Warcaster as my level up, and so Jane and I agreed that with Nadir, his level ups are kind of concurrent with him regaining his parts that he's missing. So in my mind, how this works is he's got that orb inside of him, and using his telekinetic power, he'll pop it out, and it will kind of float there with magnetism and stuff, and that's how it will cast outside of his body.
Sounds good. Yeah, it seems that as long as you let that go back into yourself during your rest, it kind of recharges and allows you to stay connected with it or something like that, I would say.
Cool.
Nope.
Yeah. But yeah, they very quickly install that and get you off the table, and she kind of just goes back to tinkering around with the odd thing. I'm going to get you two to make a perception check for me, please. Actually, I mean everyone. She would be out back in the space, just kind of doing her things quickly, kind of seeming to grab the odd last little piece to finish up whatever work she needs to on Nadir.
That's
so would it make
net
a
one
difference? Ooh. Would it make a difference that chat would stay outside since Crunch couldn't come in?
Yeah, I would say that chat probably wouldn't get a very good sightline. If chat would like to be looking in and seeing what's going on, you could probably make a perception check at disadvantage to see if you could infer much. But
yeah,
What's
no.
Valerius doing?
Valerius came as far as he realized you guys were gonna go and do ostensibly a medical procedure, and then he just turned around because he felt like he should give privacy, even though it's a robot.
It's a robot.
Yeah, but it's still no, I'll wait outside. But yeah, which
So you're
explains the nat one.
Or you're outside of the little.
Yeah, I'm
closet.
outside of the little closet hut thing.
He's like
Yeah.
the nervous dad in the waiting room that's just pacing and doesn't know what to do with
Yeah,
himself.
exactly.
Smoking
That's it.
constantly.
Yeah.
With a body like this, never.
I got a 14.
And then did Kiaki want to make a roll for that as well?
Oh, sorry, I did. I got an 11.
Okay. So I feel like Kiaki would be still a little too caught up in everything that's going on, but Nadir would notice that as Gladia had went off and kind of done some things, you also notice her jotting down some notes and compiling a little file, and you see a little title on the top saying Nadir.
that seems suspicious.
That's weird.
Is it like, has she walked away from it?
Yeah, I would say that like she kind of compiled it, tucked it away off in a little space, and has kind of went back to, she's finished up the last little work on you, which you notice her doing that as she was wrapping that up, and has gone back to, placing out a couple more items in the store.
Yeah, I feel like I want to use my mage hand to grab that file and just like at least take a look at it.
Yeah, can you make me a stealth check just to see whether they notice it or not? I guess I should probably run it against a perception check for them as well, but...
A 19.
Oh yeah, it just slips off you. They're so preoccupied in their work that you see the right time and you just move it back off into the little room that you were kind of resting in, collecting yourself after your surgery. And yeah, I'm assuming you'd bust it open. So when you open it up, as much as you were expecting something nefarious, it actually seems like this is just one of the ways that Gladia tries to keep track of the things that are very important to her. Inside of it was just some diagrams of what kind of work she had already done on you, what insights that she had gained, and there are a couple of notes off on the side being like, find out where that part was. Like she's gonna like remind herself to actually go and dig up that knowledge on you. And yeah, it doesn't seem, at least at this moment, to be anything beyond a curiosity and wanting to keep track of this curious thing that has walked through her doors.
And Nadir has like a mutual gain there, so he would put it back.
Okay.
I think while that was happening, Kiyake would kind of just not necessarily purposely distract Gladia, but maybe that's why Nadir is able to do it, but just be like, well, Gladia, what else are you working on back here? What are your other projects?
And the moment you say projects, you see Gladia's eyes pop open. She's like, I've got something I have been working on. I am so proud of. And she runs back and she pulls out, and they're a nice looking pair of boots. You know, they don't seem to be anything special, but underneath of them are these two massive springs that are just seemingly held at like already compressed state. And then a bore, or I guess it would be a section of steel underneath them. She's like, I just am so excited about these. And she puts them on, and she goes and she jumps up, and she doesn't seem like she's overly athletic, but she gets a higher vertical than you would expect. She's able to just like kind of touch the top of the roof with one of her horns, kind of thing. And the roof isn't anything massive, but it's probably about like a 9-foot ceiling or something.
Oh, so you have some sort of string with like an anti-gravitational field underneath, and Kyaki's just like trying to explain it all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and she's right on board with it. She's like, yeah. She's like, I'm not so sure on the gravity side, but yeah, I've got a field around them, and it keeps the springs compressed until right before you make a jump, and then she kind of takes them off. She says, and I find that they give you about an extra 5 feet of jump.
Wow, that's incredible. Can I roll something to just kind of glean the quality, like how well were they made?
Yeah, I feel like that would be an insight check.
Yeah, I kind of think so too.
Yeah.
17.
Yeah, you see, like, clearly, although Gladia is a bit of a scattered person, she makes good stuff. When working with her and Nadir, you see that she is very capable, and they seem like, some decent quality boots by all means. Like, they're not gonna fall apart instantly. Everything seems like she's picked really good parts, and the combinations of things aren't going to inherently cause any problems. They seem like a well-designed piece.
I tell her that.
Oh yeah,
they
just
seem well made, and I'm impressed.
as hell. There is no person who makes something that doesn't want at least someone to compliment them on their craft. And so she's very excited, and she's like, oh, and she's so excited. But she's like, honestly, you guys have just been, and she stops herself for a second and been like, no, I can't just give you these. You guys actually have to pay me for the service that you've already received. She said, but I'll throw in the boots with the orb install.
Okay, what are you thinking? Like couple gold, I mean, what's a fair price here?
She does kind of think about it, and she's like, I mean, obviously
I did do half the work on the orb, so keep that in mind.
Yeah, she's like, yeah, I mean, you got through that in no time. I could have been there all day kind of getting through that kind of stuff. You saved me enough time.
Saved you so much time. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and so she quickly, not without you guys seeing it, but is not very set on worrying about labor. She's like, if you just pay me for the orb, I think that'll be enough. Let me just roll a quick dice here. She says, and she kind of really thinks about it and thinks what the orb was, and so she's like, if you guys can give me 60 gold pieces for that orb, I think that'll be fair.
Nadir wouldn't even think about it. He would just slam it down on the counter and say, "We'll do service again."
Yeah, and she's happy, and she provides you guys with the boots as well. You do know that for 60 gold pieces, that orb was probably not a solid orb of gold. It was, a foot wide orb of gold would probably be worth quite a bit more than that, but it's seeming to work with everything you need, so you're not, at all unhappy with the price overall, I would assume. Unless you're greedy or cheap, maybe then. But yeah, so whoever wants those boots, they're just something I quickly came up with. They're just spring boots, and they add +5 feet to a jump.
While you're wearing them?
Yeah.
Or just to a jump?
Yeah, you have to be wearing them, obviously, but yeah, otherwise, any jump you take, just add an extra 5 feet to it, which is actually, somewhat notable in the grand scheme of jumps, but not
Well,
huge.
I would love those boots, but if somebody really needs to jump, feel free.
Hiyaki, I think you should have them.
Yeah.
You did help me after all.
That's very kind of you, Nadir.
Hey,
How do they look? And I immediately put them on.
They're just like moon boots from the 90s.
Yeah.
It's just a bunch of
Pretty
elastic
much.
bands.
You're gonna bust an ankle.
Yeah.
Yeah, that should be, that would be funny. You have to make a roll every time you use them to not bust an ankle.
Oh, man.
No, I'm not going to be that rude. They're too finely made for someone to roll an ankle in.
I agree.
But yeah, other than that, Claudia, she kind of just is seemingly to going back to work and pays you the odd mind, asks you if there's anything else that you guys would need from her.
Claudia, I hope we see you again. This is the most fantastic shop I've ever seen.
She does take a second to quickly draw out an orbit, and she's like, yeah, I mean, you guys can come stop by anytime. I'm always open. And she gives you can see the little map of where she shows her asteroid's orbit, so you would be able to find her at any moment if you guys ever needed to come back.
Do you buy parts as well?
She looks around, she's like, I mean, I scrap anything. Like, I don't pay top dollar, obviously, but if you guys have anything extra, I will absolutely buy it off of you.
Good to know.
Yeah, she seems to take big things and break them down into smaller things most often. So, like, I don't know if she would be, looking to buy screws from you, but if you come across, a small ship or a cart or something, she would probably scrap it for you.
Yeah, that's sweet.
Yeah. And yeah, so you guys, I mean, unless there's anything else you'd want to do, it would be very quickly just to jump back off of the asteroid and get back on the ship.
You know, Nadir, at first I wasn't sure about this pit stop and the time it would take, but I think that was by far one of the best places we've ever gone.
You never know what happens if you don't care to look.
Meanwhile, Chat and I are on the sides like, what a waste of time. We got nothing out of this. Like,
I can't believe we
I've been
spent this.
outside, like out of the shop, the whole time just playing with Crunch.
Yeah.
Like,
I like
since
that.
since I'm telepathic and since I have a pretty high passive perception, I'm just like listening for you guys the whole time. So I'm just like rolling around, wrestling with her. But like the second that you guys start to head this way, we're just like dusting off, and so as you all come out, you just like see a little bit of dust coming off of us.
Yeah, and maybe weirdly like a tire-shaped thing in Crunch's mouth, because Crunch may have acquired a new toy.
Yeah.
So cute.
It's a donut.
Casual.
Hyake would immediately go into her bonk workshop area and start fiddling with the boots and taking notes and trying to learn how she built these. And I'd probably
Yeah.
spend the rest of the time doing that.
Yeah, I feel like it would, for Hyaki to get like a full great understanding of these boots, it would take, a couple of days of really digging into the engineering, because there's
Okay.
a lot of interesting things at play, but you get a quick
That's
idea.
fine.
You could
This
at
is
least
my new
assemble
project.
a parts
Yeah, I'm
list
gonna
at
try
this
and
point.
make these boots again.
Nice. Yeah, everyone's gonna get a set of jumping boots.
Yeah, for Christmas.
Yeah, like it's not something that Kyaki is by any means too worried about solving. It's clearly within her mind, or her skill set and everything. It just will take some time of taking them apart and learning the nuances of some of the more specific fields and stuff that are going on that are keeping the springs compressed.
Yeah, I'm positively glowing with this interaction. It's amazing.
Nadir would immediately run for Captain Archie and just pop out the orb and cast light over and over, blinking at him and be like,
Look what I can do!
The captain's eyes start to go like all wild and wiggly as they're getting like overstimulated with the light blinking in front of him. He's like, that's amazing. We got to get going though, and he refocuses right back in and actually kind of like drops his eyeballs down through his body into underneath of his shirt so he doesn't have to see your light flashing anymore, and starts taking you guys back towards Fitz's compound on his moon.
That was great.
So yeah, you guys travel along, and you were getting very close. The moon is just inside the orbit of the asteroid or right in between the asteroid field and the planet, and you guys know where you're going. There's no other issues. You see, like I said, a couple of other various people just kind of making their lives out on that asteroid field. Nothing super interesting. And yeah, you see a large moon, fairly large, and it is covered from top to bottom in trees. You can't really see any points that aren't from the distance that you're at. You guys do know that there are some clearings. You have a somewhat understanding that a lot of affluent people like to buy compounds on this. This is their own mini New Zealand for the apocalypse in a sense. And so you guys, yeah, very quickly the captain knows where he's going. You go over just this massive forest, and not only is the forest all encompassing, they are huge trees, right? This is Endor, more or less. And it is known. I didn't realize it until I had really just said like how forested it was. It's like, oh, this is Endor. God, man. But yeah, so it is known as the Giant's Forest. There's not really anything tiny inside of this forest. So sorry, no Ewoks.
Boo, that's
giant
it.
bear
I quit.
People, maybe.
We had a good run,
yeah.
everybody.
Session 2, we got it. That's all that matters. But yeah, you guys fly over it. It's very, picturesque, the odd mountain kind of peeking up through these trees. And you do come over the clearing of Fitz's, and he does have one of the nicest and largest clearings. It's the lake that he has inside of it could easily have, 5 or 6 Spelljammers stopping inside of it. Currently, it seems to be empty. But, he's got all sorts of warehouses kind of spread out around it, a whole infrastructure, and you do even kind of see, I don't know if you'd call it like even like a village or something like that, but just a couple of quarters where you imagine he keeps various staff and employees that do their whatever work that they do, because I can't imagine that they would really want to travel up from the planet every day for work. That's quite the commute. Yeah, you guys easily land in the space, and you walk through. The captain, clearly knowing where he's going, kind of leads you guys all through the space. Kiaki and Valerius, they've been here before too, so they have a fairly intimate knowledge of the space. And you see a large keep. I guess you wouldn't, large, especially for this, system. And it's got a little wall around it, nothing crazy, just for a little bit of defense. And you guys see standing in the middle of the gates that are wide open is a... Ooh, I don't think I want him to be an auto gnome. He'll be a little goblin. There will be a little goblin standing there, and he is just dressed very dapperly. He has on a nice little suit. He's bowing as you guys come up. He very quickly shakes the hands of the crew that he's already met, and he walks over to Nadir and Chad and says, "Oh, I see you guys have acquired some new hires." And he walks up and he shakes your hands and says, "Hi, I'm Butler, the butler." And you see a little, his eyes just kind of go down, and you can see that he's not happy that the fact that his name is Butler. But he says, I handle all of the proceedings around here. If you guys need anything, just call my name. My ears, perfect. He does have notably large ears, even for a goblin. And he seems to know most of what's going on the compound at any given time.
I'm definitely picturing more of like a World of Warcraft goblin as opposed to a D&D goblin. Yeah, maybe it's the suit that really pulls it all together. But
yeah, he's very well dressed, and he seems very eloquent and well trained. Like, as for even a butler, he has got to be a fairly high quality butler, named Butler.
As soon as he's slightly walked away from Nadir and Chat, Nadir's gonna look at Chat and say, "His name has butt in it."
It's gonna be
and he does hear that and looks back at you, but doesn't say anything, knowing that you guys are important business guests, as he kind of starts to usher you guys towards the doors of the keep.
Yeah, Chat laughs really, really loud, but being a Thrycrane, it's just clicking and
Hilarious, is this what your home looked like? This
Yes,
grandiose.
but not. This place pales in comparison. My home far more glorious. My home larger. Everything just bigger and grander. But this place is all right.
Yeah, it's all right. I mean,
It's
I know we've
fine.
been here before, but I feel like I would love to visit your home one day if it's really that grand.
Oh, that would be lovely. Now, of course, we have to go through the proper channels and send all of your accolades and apply for you for a permit to come. Only the best are allowed to come. But I'll put in a good word for you, and we'll see. These other two, we'll see how it goes. But
I just love to think that the strong arms are from like Space Texas because everything's bigger.
yeah.
The permit goes to his mama.
Oh, 100%. It's just like a quick call, like, hey, Mom, so look, I've got these friends, and, like, one of them's a girl, but, like, it'd be cool if, like, they could come over, and, like, maybe we could have taco night. That'd be sweet.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like few would want to mess with Armstrong's mother. There's
Oh,
just
yeah.
no
As
question
big
about
as
that.
Valerius is, Mama Strongarm is, like, 4 times bigger, would, like,
Hell
throw
yeah.
you over her shoulder. Like, oh, yeah. No one
I mean,
messes with Sylvan.
Yeah, she's gotta be, I would say. Like, she's birthed this fine line of children, so
Yeah.
you gotta be able to carry. I feel like birthing a hippo person is not exactly the easiest task.
Yeah. No.
Only
Got a
the
big
strongest.
hip.
Mhm. But yeah, the goblin, he just kind of ushers you guys through. The people who've been through this place enough know it's a fairly well furnished. It's not like anything maybe as lavish as Archie's cabin, but you get the feeling that Fitz is more of a not utilitarian. That would be the wrong term. He does have elaborate things, but it seems like most of what he has somewhat of a use. So yes, he does have these fancy glass decanters full of whiskey, but they're really good whiskey, and they need only the fanciest glass to hold them. He spends his money in smart places, I guess would be the way to see it.
He's actually wealthy, whereas Archie is just pretending to be wealthy.
Mhm. Yeah, he doesn't have to present his wealth. He doesn't need to buy, a piece of clothing that looks fancy. He just knows that he spent 10 grand on that piece of clothing.
It's the difference between rich and wealthy, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Archie has money.
Absolutely.
This guy, he has wealth.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, you guys get led through this quite well furnished place. It's fairly quick. You don't go through too much of the home as he ushers you towards Fitz's study. And it is a very large room, and you see these massive double doors. And as he opens them up, you see a large table. It has, a couple of snacks and whatnot on it, some drinks, and then a bunch of paperwork. And sitting behind it is a truly massive plasmoid. I would say that he would be the largest plasmoid that any of you would have seen at this point. You've heard of bigger, I'm sure, but he clearly has grown with his wealth, to say the least. He is very bright blue. He is about 8 feet tall and almost nearly as wide. He is very, very round in shape and seems to not be very focused on like holding his form.
Huge.
Yeah, he's very large. He's sitting in his he kind of consumes the chair he sits in. He's so unfocused on maintaining or like trying to reduce his form in any way that he just kind of flows over it, and even a little part of himself is kind of consuming the desk in a slight capacity. And he kind of just leans back, looks you all over, and Archie just quickly runs up to him, knowing that Fitz is not gonna get up, and he goes and gives Fitz a big handshake, which is weird between two plasmoids as you see their
They
hands
should absorb
actually,
each other.
yeah, they intermingle for a second, and you're not entirely sure what that all entails, but it seems like quite a elaborate cultural dance that goes on in there. You see some of their organs kind of move around. You see the odd little light flash inside of it, and then he pulls his
Valerius
arm
again
back.
turns away to give privacy because he feels like he should.
But yeah,
Can
you see
hippos
as they
blush? Can hippos blush?
I don't know. I know their sweat is red tinted, so it looks like they sweat blood. Weird
Whoa.
hippo fact of the day. Don't ask why I know that.
Yeah, I don't feel like a hippo could blush per se, just because of how thick their hide is. But I don't see why a GIF couldn't.
Is
Can
it derogatory
hippos
to call a GIF
blush?
a hippo?
Oh, it's super racist.
About the same as dry freeing a bug. So
Yeah, no, like we said, it's also racist.
yeah.
I'll have to remember these things as insults against you guys.
YouTube or Google is inconclusive as to whether or not a hippo can blush.
Well, they are mammals, so they are warm-blooded.
I would think so, but also like horses don't blush.
Yeah, I think the thing
don't
with
know that.
blushing
Or do
is that
they?
our skin, like, we don't know whether that they go through an action of blushing, but humans are one of the only things with a pale enough skin where you can see the blood flowing behind it so easily. So, like, that's what makes us blush, is the ability to see that extra blood flow. So I'd imagine most animals can go through that process of having their veins expand, but I don't think many would be able to show that they're blushing.
Things that
Can-
derail your story.
Can
Do
a
hippos
hippo
blush?
feel embarrassed?
You're welcome.
I mean, I feel like Armstrong should not be able to feel embarrassment, but I could
Oh,
be
I'm not
wrong.
embarrassed about anything. No.
It's just very formal and polite.
Yeah.
But yeah, they disassociate from their handshake, and you do see a little bit of the light blue inside the captain's hand and a little bit of the captain's dark blue inside of the plasmoid's hand. You're not entirely sure what that means, but they do kind of disperse into the creation, or into the, you know, individual plasmoid, and the color disappears quickly. And yeah, Fitz kind of quickly lays out his arms, says, if you guys need anything, I have a couple of snacks. You guys see some fruit and nuts and, you know, a little bit of meat of various types, and then you see some wine and some ale sitting off to the side. He says, if you need anything else, Butler's just outside. And you hear, when he says Butler, you hear a small little sigh from the goblin standing outside. He says, but if you guys are...
She would kind of just be awkwardly, like, hands behind her back, wandering around the room, like, kind of idly touching stuff, like, not really paying attention or, like, sitting still in one spot.
Yeah, Chad has no couth. He immediately goes over and just starts devouring food and like chugging.
Probably eats all the snacks in one go.
I mean, I have 4 arms, so all the better to snack with.
Yeah.
Valerius makes himself like a lettuce
Yeah,
wrap.
as you go for one...
Because it's healthy.
Gotta keep his calories
Yeah,
in.
yeah.
I like that.
This is 3 more
And then,
push-ups.
yeah, as you guys kind of clear off whatever snacks there, you do see Fitz quickly rip out a little pseudopod and like wipe off a couple of plates and take some of the scraps and absorb them, and you see them kind of digest through his body. He says, but yeah, I mean, if you guys are ready to discuss business, I've already had my guys unload your equipment or the cargo that you collected for me, and he, you know, kind of just blusters up a little bit and kind of wants to make sure he's like showing, like, you know, he's big and he cares about this. He says, you know, like, thank you very much. This was highly important stuff. I really needed that equipment in no time. My purveyor was very, very unhappy that his order was late. I'll get that out to him really quickly. But back to the business at hand. He tosses a bag of gold off to Archie. And Archie goes through and quickly counts it, and he says, don't worry, guys, we'll settle that up when we get back to the ship. And he also quickly pulls out, he extends 2 more pseudopods out from underneath the desk, and pulls out a little, I guess you'd call it a serving tray in a sense. It's this fine, you know, almost a charcuterie board in a sense that's very large with a couple of items on top of it. He says, I also figured that I should give you guys a couple of bonuses for that job. You handled it so quickly. I mean, I like to keep my people happy. And on top of it, you guys do see a sword. It looks fairly regular, but you do get a feeling that Fitz would not just be giving you a normal sword. So the fact that it looks so nondescript means it probably is useful in some other capacity. You see a hat made out of what looks to be like some sort of small animal fur. You're not entirely sure what it would be.
Oh, it's a hamster.
No, it wouldn't be hamster. Something much... I don't know. It could be a hamster, but you're almost certain it's not.
Just imagine Pat
yeah, right.
wearing 2 animal hats, one on top of the other.
Just to assert dominance.
I like that. There's also a feather just sitting on there, and it is fairly eloquently like bedazzled, for lack of a better term. There is some jewels kind of encrusted into the more thick parts of the stem of the feather, and there is a little pendant hanging off of it in the shape of an anchor. And then there is also a jug just sitting on top of it, and it's just, a standard, I don't know, I guess it would probably be made out of metal. It's seemingly, silver of some type, maybe not like silver itself, but it's a fairly shiny metal jug. And he says, yeah, like, I mean, and he just kind of like pushes them towards the table and says, these are for you guys. I cannot, again, express enough just how much I appreciated the work you did, and I guess you can kind of also consider it a little prepayment for this next job I have for you. And as he kind of shoves it off towards you guys, he does think for a second. He's like, oh, and he snaps his fingers at the butler and he says, explain what these do to them. And the butler quickly goes over, and seemingly knowing most of what Fitz has in his collection, he's like, ooh, really? You're gonna give them that? I thought that was one of your favorite things. It's such an oddity. And he pulls up the sword and he says, this is a sword of duck summoning. And he just seems like very intrigued by it because it's such a strange item that who would ever know, but he goes through and he gives you the quick spiel, and from your understanding, it has 2 charges, and as an action, when you expend 1 charge, you get to summon 1d6 ducks.
Yeah.
This is
Every
the
gains 1
greatest
charge per
weapon
day.
ever made.
What do they do for you?
Anything you want,
They're
ducks.
just ducks. It just
Okay.
summons up to 6 regular ducks. And otherwise, it is just a normal short sword.
Rick, your dog's really cute.
Thanks. It's her favorite way to cuddle.
Oh.
Listen, I don't
I
care
love
who has this sword. Somebody take it and use it for evil.
Do you guys have any idea how close ducks are to geese? Like, we're this close to the most
You can
deadly
train them
army
to
ever
act
made.
like geese.
You paint them and train them to act like geese. I love that idea. And then so he puts that back down. He grabs the fur hat. He's like, "Oh, a hat of vermin." And he kind of like looks through and he says, I think this is made of rat, but I could be wrong. And he kind of explains that, it is of a similar concept to the sword of duck summoning. It has 3 charges, and while holding the hat, you can speak a command that summons a bat, a frog, or a rat, and then you can interact
Fun.
with said creature.
That's fun.
He puts that back down, grabs up the feather, and he says this is a anchor feather token, and I believe, I can't super remember, but I believe that it allows you to just lock something into space. Let me just pull that up.
Jody
Anchor.
all over that rat hat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
This
it would.
tiny object looks like a feather. Oh yeah, I guess I'm making even more references than I even meant to. You can use an action to touch the token to a boat or ship for the next 24 hours. The vessel can't be moved by any means. And it just uses up the token when it's done to do that. And then the last one is a jug of alchemy. And he goes and he grabs it up and he thinks of wine, and he goes and he pours out a couple of glasses of wine and hands them to you guys. Oh, actually the jug of alchemy in their design is like clay and has a whole bunch of stoppers. It's a really cool image, but I'm going to stick with it just being like a very nondescript metal vessel with maybe some like very faint etchings of like magical symbols that you wouldn't notice until you were holding it right up beside you. But the way that works is it just lets you name a liquid, and it kind of is produces that liquid. I believe it can produce up to 2 gallons per minute of said liquid. And yeah, there's a various lists, so you guys can decide those things, put those into your inventory, and someone who gets that jug can figure out the specific.
It's like the thermos of never-ending coffee from Strixhaven. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And one of the liquids is mayonnaise.
Oh.
I
2
guess that's
gallons a minute of mayonnaise.
Is mayonnaise an instrument?
Oh, what if it was Miracle Whip? It's not even like real mayonnaise.
But it
Yeah,
does make a
liquid
better
mayonnaise.
tasting turkey sandwich, and it is almost Canadian Thanksgiving. So,
Oh yeah, it is, huh?
yeah, a couple weeks. Do you have to be holding the jug?
I believe so. So it just says, yeah, you can use an action and name 1 liquid from the table to choose the jug to produce. It'll produce that for a certain time. Can produce, once the jug starts producing a liquid, it cannot produce a different one or more of that one once it has reached its maximum until the next dawn. So yeah, till the next day, it'll just produce wine.
Oh.
Yeah,
I'm
he
trying to
puts
think
that
of
back
ways to
down
make
and
this like a game-breaking item. Is like, how do I flood a ship with mayonnaise while we ride off into the sunset?
I think you're gonna need a few more jugs of alchemy.
I don't know. You put it in the bottom of
No,
some guy's ship, just like it's pouring out mayonnaise at 2 gallons a minute, and we like leave. They come back and their ship is like 6 feet lower than it was when they started and full of mayonnaise.
Combine it with the anchor token so they can't leave.
There you go.
Yes.
I mean, I'm getting some real big Home Alone vibes there.
Oh, it's a
You know,
little
leaving-
Home Alone-y.
Leaving the water on.
Yeah, I'll be the mayo bandit. I'm fine with that.
That's a t-shirt design.
Yeah.
I'll be the mayo bandit.
Right. Just a jar of mayo, and I'll be the mayo bandit.
I like the idea of a jar of mayo with a little bandit's mask over its face. No actual face, just a bandit mask.
Oh, this is gonna be posted by the end of the week. Like, I'll have this.
But yeah, Fitz kind of just waits as the goblin goes over the items. He does his little show. He puts them back on and just leaves them as he walks back out the room. And yeah, Fitz very quickly starts rummaging through his papers. He pulls one out and he hands it off to Archie. And when you guys all can quickly and easily see that more or less all that's on it is just coordinates of a location. And Fitz goes into a fairly long dialogue of which he tells you what is simply he has a job. The job is, you know, nothing complicated. There is a ship that is carrying an arms shipment that is supposed to be sent off to another system. He wants you guys to go and collect those arms. He tries to put it off as if he's being noble by keeping this out of a war zone, but really at the end of the day, what else are you going to do with guns, you know, any other way? So if it's not going to this
Somebody
war, it'll
else?
probably go to somebody else.
They already belong to somebody else, though?
Yeah, from what you guys understand, these are being shipped by a crew, and he would like you guys to pilfer them for him.
What's
He
the
is-
pay?
I mean, you know I pay well. As he kind of you look over at his gold purse from the last one, and it seems quite full. But yeah, overall, this job, he also kind of laid out. He's like, you know, like I can obviously pay you guys your going rate, but I know how much Archie has been wanting to get out of this system. And as he says that, you see Archie kind of like, you know, rustle up a bit and kind of cough just to be like seen as he's there. And he's like, yes, we no offense to your place of business by any means, but I just feel that we're kind of outgrown Margot space, and the sooner we could get out of here, the better. So yeah, it seems that Archie likes the idea of this job being kind of your route out. Fitz lays out that he says, I've got a contact on the Rock of Brawl. If you guys get out there and see him, he should be able to get you into almost any other system that you would like to get into. As you guys all know, the systems are being very locked down. They're fairly hard to get inside of just on your own due to the ending of the recent war. So yeah, that seems to be mostly what he's offering, that little bonus of what you guys have. And like I said, he can give you your old pay, but he's almost certain that you guys don't want to take your usual rate. Because yeah, the getting into another system on its own would be a very costly expense, probably more so than you guys have been paid on, you know, a handful of jobs.
What's the other ship that you want us to meet?
And he kind of goes, he's like, well, meet's a strong word. They're not going to be very mobile when you get there. And he kind of goes through his little plan, and you see a little, where you'd think a smile would be, you see a little curl go up on it. He's like, I've got a guy inside their ship, and he's going to get in there, and he's going to teleport their helm out, and they're just going to be left scuttled flying around. It's brilliant. I can't believe I came up with this idea. And you see that he's so excited about this idea thing that he wants to do. But
Is
he
this
does
the
let
guys
out
that we already moved?
by the looks of the coordinates, it is not.
Okay.
But he
They also
That'd be
didn't
awkward.
have a helm when we got there.
Hey, we're back. Do you guys need any more help?
By the way, we're taking your stuff.
No, you guys, from the description he gives you of the ship, it does seem to be a different ship. The one that you went by was
Okay.
just a fairly nondescript Spelljammer, but what you guys will be raiding is a GIF bombard. It is really old, it is fairly run down, and it is
What do you mean,
captained by
nice?
Beatrice No Eyes.
It sounds like an adventure.
You didn't say it till you knew it was a gift ship.
It's a bombard.
But yeah,
How could it not be fun?
So he does say, like, obviously, they're not going to be highly maneuverable, but you're still going to want to keep an eye out for that cannon, because there's no question it will rip your ship apart. All of you guys would be fairly knowledgeable of the gift bombards. They are a massive cannon with a small ship built around it. So it is just a floating gun with a little bit of living space attached.
This better be worth the money.
He says, I don't think it should be too much of a fight. I know Beatrice runs a small crew. I think, it should be in and out, and hopefully they don't even put up any fight. I can't imagine that they would want to cause too much of a scene. But yeah, he just seems to think that you guys are going to go and you figure out the details of how you're going to get those weapons. He just wants those weapons. And it does seem like he's not, like, you don't know what he's going to do with them, but the people they're going to, it would not be a good group, right? They're going off to a very brutal war that's going to be, the last kind of remnants of the big, I think I called it what did I write? Yeah, I guess that's an actual, more of the stuff I should have said about the past, but yeah, the third Gith Illithid war. It's now been fully reduced. It had expanded across almost all of the systems in the Astral Sea, but it has now more or less contained itself into the starting system where the Gith and Illithid both originate from. And it has many names, but really at this point, no one really calls it anything else other than the war zone system. It has been, since as long as they've known, it has just been a constant war between the Gith and the Illithid going on in there, and every now and again it is expanded out into the systems, giving the first, second, and the most recent third Gith Illithid war. And that's just your standard world politics. A couple of people start fighting, a lot of other countries see their ability to make money off of it and whatnot, and so everyone got wrapped up. But this one did come to a fairly peaceful resolve for most of the systems. They all more or less just backed out, realizing that if they had kept fighting, it was going to be until one side had completely decimated the other. And so they kind of all just pulled out and left that one system to keep doing its thing. So that them not going to that is that they're probably going to go to a less bloodshed than where they're currently going at the very least. But yeah, I think that would be about all he would have to say. Yeah, he's hooked you up with that stuff. So yeah, other than that, he just kind of seems to be sitting back, having, purveyed that information to you guys. The ship will just be there waiting at the coordinates that he's given you. Get on there, get the weapons at however you see fit, bring them back, and he'll get you in contact with somebody to get you off into the next system.
Kiyake would look at Nadir and chat and say, "Newbies, you got a taste of the life aboard the Kurd. Do you wish to continue making money with us?"
That is just focused on the hat.
Is that a yes? You did sign a contract, may I remind you. But you still have a voting right.
So, Fitz, did you say you have to wear the hat, or can I just hold it?
So yeah, as you say that, the goblin pokes his head in. You get a feeling that Fitz doesn't have a particularly good idea of what these things do. He's kind of collects and purchases, and when he needs it, someone will tell him how it works. But yeah, as far as the hat goes, it just says, while holding the hat. So
cool. Immediately,
yeah, like, it just has to be in your presence.
Yeah, as soon as Butler says that, I just take it and I put it under my coonskin hat. So I'm holding.
Like you have a magical coonskin hat.
Yeah.
Nadir would look at Kiyaki and just say, "Well, until I find my creator, I have nothing else, so we might as well go pilfering."
That's the spirit.
So long as no one gets hurt, I don't like that.
Well, and I kind of look at
The
Valerius.
captain kind of like thinks about it. There's not a lot of jobs where somebody doesn't end up at least a little hurt with you guys, I feel like. But
Right,
who
I'm
knows? You
remembering
did save some
all of
people
the
on the
crew we've
last
lost.
one. Yep.
You know how we just delivered our dead
And the poor
members'
Mephit
bodies.
that lost his arm the last time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Poor
And that's
Mephit, or
definitely not the
did they-
first groove you've shipped off either.
Oh no.
Was it really a poor method, or did they kind of jump us?
It's a
I
valid
mean,
point.
they could have been a lot more upfront about getting on your ship. So really, I think that's why they weren't so mad about losing an arm. You can't just float down on people with a surprise and not think you're going to get shot at least once. But yeah,
True.
it seems that at this point, Fitz is kind of... He doesn't maybe want to shoo you guys out per se, but he's just kind of sitting there waiting to see if you guys have like any other information that you would want to figure out at this point.
So
Yeah, no, I mean, I feel like you guys have got about as much information, so I would say that as you guys kind of sit there in silence, the butler very quickly, being so good at his job, notices and kind of comes and he's like, okay, well, like, I can get you guys back out to your ship. Do you need any restocking? We can supply you and all that stuff. And the captain does kind of give him a little list of some basic stuff. You guys need to, your larder a little restored, and you could use a couple extra barrels of water. And he says, oh, yes, absolutely, no problem. Consider it a part of your payment. And he runs off and gets some people to start delivering that to you guys as he comes back and guides you back out to your ship.
did anybody, other than the hat, did anybody have any strong feelings about those items they really want?
Yeah, Valerius is not really a sword guy. He's more of
No?
a punchy guy.
Yeah.
So if somebody who is a sword person wants to take that, go for it.
I mean, I could be, but it wouldn't be my first choice. But it probably makes more sense than Nadir. So
Yeah, I agree. Also, the chat is telling us that the sword levels with your character, and at level 15, it upgrades to battle ducks. So
oh fuck yeah, that might be worth it, dude.
More of a hippo guy,
Yeah,
less of a duck guy. Exactly.
Aren't battle ducks just geese?
Yes.
yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
pretty sure
that's
that's
definitely
what
what
they
they
call
would
Canadian
be.
geese. Yeah.
Yeah, I do tell the story more often than I probably should, but it's still one of my favorite stories. In my hometown, there was a pond, and there was a bunch of geese that lived at the pond, and one day a buddy of mine decided that he was going to go and fight the goose, so he covered himself in cardboard armor and went to fight it, and it broke his collarbone.
No.
Yeah,
Idiot.
you shouldn't mess with any large bird. We had, I think they were swans, had set up a little nest by our lagoon at my high school, and one kid got the bright idea that he was going to go and mess with the eggs. Didn't even have a chance to touch him before that bird was on him and just beating the crap out of him. There's nothing more enjoyable than watching a 16-year-old run away from a large white bird. But yeah, you guys quickly and easily get back to your ship. Oh yeah, you guys are sorting out your items. So we had the Hat of Vermin officer. What are you guys thinking?
I think chat took that, right?
Oh yeah, no, I 100% took that.
Yeah, I'll take the sword, I guess.
In case you need some ducks. Ooh,
Yeah.
I do like the idea of Kiaki tinkering on these summonable ducks.
Oh yeah, that's a
They
good point.
come out
Maybe I
with
can
their
change
own-
the summon.
Maybe. Or at least give them some attachments like they're laser ducks now or something.
Oh yeah, maybe I can infuse the sword. That'd be fun.
Ooh. I mean, I'm always down to whatever creative ideas you want to ask for.
So you said it's just a short sword?
Yeah, it's just a normal short sword other than the fact that it can summon some ducks.
Okay. Cool. Sick.
Yeah, I mean, then you guys can keep kind of the rest of the items. I feel like the feather token and the jug of alchemy are just more kind of things you keep on the ship for when they're useful, in a sense, unless someone really wants to have that feather around. Because I guess you could, like, actually, the only really elaborate thing I think that you could do is, like, when someone's chasing you, one of you could, like, jump off the ship, slap that on the ship that's chasing you, and then, like, get picked back up.
Ooh.
Yeah.
But yeah, you guys get guided back onto your ship. And I kind of have already forgotten what we say for our breaks. I think it's just our usual.
Need a
we need a
refill.
refill. So
Yeah.
yeah, we're gonna take a quick break here, everybody, and we'll see you in a little bit. are back. The crew had just gotten onto their ship, and I'm assuming just started heading out back into wild space.
Yeah. Oh, well, I want the captain to count our monies. So we do
that is fair.
first.
Good point. Yeah, absolutely. When you guys get on the ship, the captain does go and he pours out the gold, and you guys see a total of, which seemingly is a fairly good amount for the job. You guys see 600 gold pieces laid out there, and he goes and he does quickly scoot off a sixth of that for the ship expenses, and then breaks it down into the fifths, and everyone gets 100 gold pieces.
Damn, I'm rich.
Dang.
Sick.
Small portion of the strong arm fortune.
Kyake has like
a
many
drop in
little
the bucket
bags,
of small-
little coin in there.
Yeah, so you guys get your money split off and get the ship all rigged up and ready to go, and blast back off into wild space, heading towards the coordinates. It is not super close to where you guys had been previously, but it is still along that trade line. It's one of the most, like I said, predominantly used of the outer trade lines in the system. And yeah, so you quickly set a course for it, and it shouldn't take you longer than a day and a half to get there. And I guess Kyaki's gonna be digging away at those boots.
The whole time, you guys
I
probably
would say
won't
that
see her.
I would say that over the time that you would fly, it would give Kyaki enough time to disassemble the boots into its parts and just begin the concept of like figuring out what parts would be needed to replicate it.
Make a ton of
Is there
notes and
anyone
draw
else?
a bunch of sketches.
Does anyone else want to be doing anything specific, or just their usual ship duties as they're traveling?
I think just usual ship duties. I don't think Valerius has too much else to be doing. Yeah.
I think Nadir would be trying to take care of Trent.
Yeah, and I feel like Nadir had already gotten like at least the basics down, where to provide certain amount of nutrients, mixing the right chemicals in with the water, and then where to, apply that the most efficiently. And Trent seems very happy with the keep so far. It's gotten, a little more lusher, and the buds have grown a little bit more. You assume that some fruit will be fruiting, in still quite a while away, a couple months maybe, but it's on the process by now for sure.
And how far away are we going? Like, is it just going to be less than a day?
It'd be about a day and a half to get out to where you would be overall.
Okay,
so yeah, 30. What is that? Wait, yeah, 36 hours.
Perfect. So yeah, I immediately, like, as soon as we take off, I summon a rat and just let Crunch chase it around. And then, like,
Yeah, everyone kind of is going along their way, doing their stuff, cleaning over here as a big, freaking hamster comes and knocks over their bucket, splashes water everywhere, chasing this little rat, bumps into some cargo, maybe topples a bit of it.
Yeah,
but yeah, you guys get out and you're flying fairly well. There's no major issues. You're making a good headway, and when you're about halfway to your destination, you guys do all feel the ship suddenly slow. Can I get you all please make a wisdom check for me?
Saving throw or just a straight check?
Just a straight check.
Woohoo, 7.
17.
I am not very
18.
wise.
as a 20, a dirty 20.
Dang.
Okay, so everyone under 18, so Nadir and Valerius, you guys would know that the ship slows when an object is approaching or you're getting close to an object. That's just how Spelljammers work. But the other two would have a little bit more of an intimate knowledge of this slowdown. It is a little more sudden than it normally would be, implying that whatever you're getting approaching that is slowing you down is also approaching you. So the ship needs to slow down a little more suddenly due to that interaction. And then, yeah, can you guys all also make me a perception check? Actually, where would you guys want to be on the ship at this point? Like, are you guys all going to be out on the deck, or are you kind of doing your own individual things?
Yeah, I would be still doing my thing. Unless it seems like
Yeah,
there's
so you'll
an
be down in
issue.
your
Are we in now?
quarters. Hmm?
How many hours are we in?
How many
now?
hours? You guys have probably been about 18 of the hours. Like I said, about halfway in your total travel.
Yeah, I feel like Nadir would be in his quarters for sure.
I mean, I would have been in the cargo hold, but when I feel the ship start to slow down, I'm definitely going to go up on the deck.
Yeah, I feel like seeing that like half our crew has like gone to their quarters, Valerius would probably stay on deck, like just like kind of shifts kind of deal. So, yeah.
Sounds good. So yeah, so with Chat and Valerius would be up there. Would Kiaki or Nadir want to head towards the deck as they feel the ship slow, or are they just kind of gonna keep doing their thing? Like, it doesn't feel like it's anything strange. This is commonplace that it could be an asteroid, it could be another ship or something that's coming nearby. And there
Kiaki
hasn't
doesn't
been
care.
any.
She's felt this before. Let Valerius deal with it.
I feel like Nadir would be cognizant of the time and how long they've been traveling, and think that it's strange that they would be slowing now, and he would go up.
Mm-hmm. Okay, sounds good. So yeah, we'll have Nadir come blowing out on the stairs. So then yeah, I will get Nadir, Chat, and Valerius to all make a perception check for me, please.
Yep, that's another dirty 20.
Ooh, 8.
Well, hot. Digital dice?
5.
Yeah.
Nice, dude.
So yeah, Chat and Valerius look around and they don't see anything super of note. There's an odd little asteroid, but they seem far enough away that that would be a little strange. Chat would notice though a fairly small asteroid. It almost feels a little weird that the ship is slow this much, but seeming on the trajectory of the asteroid, though it won't collide with the ship, it will come very close, and that's likely what led to this. And so yeah, as that asteroid kind of sails by and it goes by the ship fairly quickly, Chat would notice, and he would be the actually I'll get Nadir and Valerius to make another check as they do see another perception check as they do see the asteroid fly by.
6. These dice suck.
19.
Yeah, digital dice are
So
Awful.
Valerius Valerius would be focused on the asteroid flying by and not really noticing anything else, but Chat and Nadir would see 7 small figures hop off from the asteroid and are beginning to float towards your ship.
Well, once again, I'm going to shoot at them. I mean,
Yeah, absolutely. Throw a shot out at them. And we are going to call that a surprise round, so we will roll into initiative here in a second after that first shot, unless Nadir wants to do anything about those figures either.
that's a 21 to hit.
Dang.
Yeah, that definitely hits.
Are you
He
sure?
would. Nadir would cast Bless just out of instinct. And he'll do it on
And
himself,
that-
Chat, and is. Where's Valerius?
I am. Here is my token. I don't know where that is
I
on the
see,
ship.
sorry. I
That'd be
was
like
too
the
zoomed
upper
in.
deck, right?
Yeah, I could see him there, right? To cast it on him.
Yep. I think that you would be able to see him fine enough.
Yeah, so Bless on the 3 of us.
And so yeah, your shot hits. Do you want to roll damage there for me, Rick?
Yeah, no, I did. It's 13.
Okay. Let me just quickly check that. So yeah, as you hit one of the figures, and as you see them kind of drifting closer, you do recognize them as just goblins. They seem like some normal goblins. There is one that is a little more armored up. He seems to be wearing just like some actual metal on him instead of the leather that all the other guys are wearing. But you do hit one of them, and they just.
No, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, as you hit that one, so yeah, as you hit that one, he just goes flying off into space, and you hear a little scream go as he flies off, and the other figures do start getting close to the ship, and they do land on their various points in front of you guys.
They were just riding the asteroids.
And yeah, it was a group of goblins, and they were hopped off this asteroid when it came near a ship.
Amazing.
And yeah, they all land on this side. Actually, I feel like they would land on the side with Chat if he was able to rack off a shot at them. And then some would land up on the top there. And yeah, I'm gonna get everyone to roll initiative. I feel like Kiaki would hear the shot that sounded off. I don't know what Kiaki would want to do after that point, but
Yeah,
I
okay.
think it's reasonable to know that something is going down.
Makes sense to me.
15.
9.
14.
Yeah, so it's another dirty 20. These digital dice
Jeez.
are hot.
Ooh,
Thanks,
they're
D&D.
on fire.
No kidding.
It's all right. It'll fail me when I really need it.
Oh, it absolutely will.
It'll be like a death. I'll get 3 not 1. Well, 2 not 1s.
Okay, let me get these goblins all set up in their initiatives. And I don't know if you guys have pulled up, but I do have the map up for you guys.
I don't see
Yeah.
it. I only see. Oh, never mind. Just kidding.
I mean, since I'm
Gotta zoom it.
kind of tallish, especially compared to a goblin, could I just shoot over the one that's right next to me at one of the others?
Oh, absolutely. I don't think
Cool.
that would be an issue whatsoever.
Um,
And yeah, you are the first in our initiative, Chat.
yeah, so I'm gonna shoot at the furthest one that's like near me. I don't know
Yeah,
how.
so that would be number 5.
There's another 21 to hit.
Are you... Deadly, yeah, absolutely hit. These are some very run-of-the-mill goblins. There's no issue doing that.
And that is 9 damage.
Yeah, and the other one, yeah, as you just blow him away, his skull just tears open as you get a perfect little headshot on him.
Yeah, so that's my turn.
Okay, my internet decided to be weird for a second, and I lost our initiative order. I know Chat had a 20 and Kiaki had a 9. What was Nadir and Valerius's, if you guys can remember?
I had a 14.
15.
Okay. Perfect. Don't know why it decided to give me that grief. There we go. Okay, so that was Chat, and then we roll on to the Goblin Boss, which is up by Valerius, and he is going to... Oh, I forgot that we were gonna do the 1 minute, although I think we'll be quick. We'll just see whether I need to time that or not. He is going to run up towards Valerius, just ready to get into the fray of things, and he is going to, make a multi-attack, which is 2 scimitar attacks.
Okay.
Oh, the second attack has disadvantage. That is annoying. First one is a 23.
That'll hit.
Okay, and then I'll do the second hit here. Oh, that's not gonna be. That's a 6. So just the 1 hit then, and that is 5 damage. Yeah, he just comes up running right at you and seemingly manages to get by your invisible armor that you like to wear. And then it moves on to Nadir's turn.
So, sorry, Chat had hit this one?
Oh yeah,
No.
that guy was dead. I should
No,
grab
it's
that one off.
the
Or was it?
furthest.
Which one were you shooting at?
That one, yeah.
Oh, the furthest one. Yep. Okay. Yeah, he got
Then-
nuked.
The deer is gonna run up.
This one would have landed. Oh, is that one dead? No, that one isn't, because one already got nuked. Okay.
Okay, so the deer is gonna run up to that one and he's gonna cast inflict wounds. Ooh, for an 8, so I feel like that's a fail.
No, that doesn't hit. As you go to, reach towards the goblin, he does manage to kind of be a little slippy and duck under and around your hand.
Okay.
Is there anything else you want to do?
No, I don't think so. I think that'll be the end of my turn.
Hey, Jaden, real quick.
Okay. And then we move on to.
I don't know. It doesn't say if it's like a bonus action or anything. I forgot I have my chameleon carapace, and I can change the color of like my carapace, and it gives me advantage on.
Yeah.
So can I do that like as a bonus action, basically?
Yeah.
Hide.
I mean, I would just treat it as like a free thing. Like I feel like it should be so intrinsic in a creature's ability if they can manipulate their color that it would just think and they would be that other color. So I think it would be more of an instantaneous effect in a sense.
Yeah. Works for me.
Also, I totally forgot that we were blessed. Does a 10 hit?
No, a 10 still would not hit.
Fair enough.
Bummer.
And then we would move on to Valerius's turn.
All right. Valerius is... Yeah, you know what? He's just going to punch this guy in the face. 23.
Yeah, that obviously...
I figured, but... so that's 7 damage. And then with his second attack, he'll do the same. 23 again. And only 4 damage on that one.
Oh. Yeah, he takes 2 big swings at this goblin, and he's clearly shaken, right? He's a little, loose on his feet and is maybe not as focused on the fight as he previously was, not expecting to just get, beat in the head with 2 big shots from a set of bare knuckle, or not, I guess not bare knuckles, you even wear freaking
like brass knuckles,
dusters.
yeah.
Hit extra hard. And I'm assuming that's your turn?
Yeah, that'll be my turn.
Okay. As we move on to a batch of the 3 goblins, that is, this guy is going to run down and come behind Chat, seeing that those other guys seemingly are getting their stuff beat, and this one's gonna run over here. And so the 3 of them are all gonna take attacks. Seeing that Chat had already dropped 2 of their guys, the 3 and 4 are gonna focus on him, and they are each going to make. One is just going to make a simple scimitar attack. That's a 10. I'm assuming that doesn't hit.
Nope.
And the other one is going to make a multi-attack. 17 for the first one.
That does hit.
Okay, and then the second hit would be a 9, so I'm assuming that one does not.
No, that does not.
So yeah, as the 2 come running up on you, they just all start swinging their scimitars wildly all around you, and it seems like Chat just kind of like sees through them and just like, slightly twists his body one way as the blade just zips by, dodges out of the other one, but as he was distracted by that last one, the one goblin does get 1 hit in and hits you for 6 damage.
Damn.
And then the one that is facing Nadir is going to... Oh, no, wait. Did I already attack Nadir? No. This is going to make a single scimitar attack, and that's a 6, so I'm assuming it does not hit.
Does not.
Yeah, I was hoping, but I don't know if anyone has ever had an AC below 10 as a NPC or as a PC. So yeah, he goes and I don't know if he just thought he was fighting a bigger creature or not, but he kind of just goes a little over Nadir's head. Maybe he tripped or something on his swing there. As we roll into Kiyaki's turn.
Okay, how long is it gonna take me to get up to the main deck from my room?
A square is 5 feet, so that's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. I think you could just get to seeing up the stairs.
Okay.
Into the crew deck. Yeah, I think you would get right there at the moment. And then in the next turn, you should be able to get up and out into the fray.
Okay, that's fine. So as I'm running, I'm just going to use my action to activate my Arcanum. So I just kind of like put my hand to my like metal bandeau and like touch my belly button ring, and this like kind of force field comes out and like encircles me.
Cool.
Sounds good. And then we roll on to the last of those goblins there. That guy's dead. That guy's dead. So that only leaves that one. So the one remaining goblin of that trio is going to run up and actually he's going to go right around Valerius and try and pull a little flanky to grab some advantage against you guys. Oh, I didn't give those guys advantage when they attacked chat, but it is what it is. They hit him once. And that one goblin is going to go...
Shanky.
He's going to also go for multi-attacks with his scimitar. And the first one is definitely not a hit because that's a 12. And the second one is a 10. So yeah, he just can't seem to get past Valerius's armor, well, invisible armor due to his fancy gift belt of repulsing. So yeah, he just kind of bounces off of what it doesn't even look like there would be a force field. It's just as if he can't touch his skin by like just a small sliver.
Nice.
And that rolls around back to chat.
Okay, well, thankfully I remember all the stuff because D&D Beyond crashed for me, and I cannot get back onto it.
Fun.
So,
Oh.
yeah.
Oh.
So I'm going to roll with my dice from Canadian Dice, and wow, that was not great. I'm definitely not going to hit them.
Use your bless. Use your bless.
Oh, yeah.
1d4.
Yeah.
D4.
Get a D4 to your roll.
Does an 11 hit?
I don't believe so. Nope. Nope,
Aw.
it does not.
Bummer.
So close.
I tried.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and this is just a quick aside. With your musket, it does require reload, but reload is a bonus action. So you can take your shots in a turn, but you just don't get another bonus action if you were going to do a, reload in that time.
Yeah, and I wonder how that would work since I have 4 arms, so like I could be doing other stuff while I'm reloading.
Yeah, we'll have to sort that out. I'll think about that, but for now we'll just stick with the basics. If you want to, you can definitely in a turn take a shot and reload so that the next turn you're able to take a shot, and maybe we can figure out some fun thing. I feel like you could, just leave it in your opposite hands if you wanted to attack for a turn with your swords and they'll do the reloading, but it would still ostensibly take you a turn to reload, or, you couldn't shoot it too often still, but we'll figure something out. I'm not sure where I want to ride with that just yet. Because, I totally forgot about the fact that chat had an extra set of arms. But
think
if
it
that's
does
everything,
say-
then we will move on to the goblin boss. So the goblin boss is going to... He is just going to take a single strike at Valerius.
Okay.
And that is a 15, which I'm certain doesn't hit. And he is... Oh, no. I mean, he is going to do this because he doesn't know otherwise, because he doesn't realize that you guys just got feats. He is going to use his nimble escape to take the disengage action and try and back away from Valerius.
Don't mean a thing because I took Sentinel, so I still get to make an attack on him. That'll be a 12. Which I don't think it's going to hit.
No, a 12 will not hit.
No.
And I believe you have to hit him to stop him from his movement, correct?
Yeah, I do have to actually hit him.
So he will be able to just kind of slip away. He's not going to go too far. He's just going to go and kind of slightly tuck himself behind the Trent.
Okay.
And that is his move. So then it is Nadir's turn.
Nadir is going to kind of cry out in frustration, like, "Yeah!" and try to go for the inflict wounds again. And this time, a dirty 20.
That definitely hits.
Okay, and then he does 17 damage.
Damn.
Yeah, you wrap your hand around the goblin, and he just gets, like, eviscerated with all of these little cuts, and blood just kind of, like, pours all out of him, and he just collapses from sheer blood loss.
Amazing.
Which one were you attacking? Was that 5 or 4?
It was 4. Yeah, because 5 moved in after.
Okay. Just wanna double check. Yep. Oh yeah, yep, that was that. That would be that guy. And then it is Valerius's turn, unless Nadir has anything else he would like to try and do.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, he would just turn to face 5.
All right.
Hey.
So I will make an attack against the one that's still here. Number 1, it looks like. 18 to hit.
Yep.
Okay. And
Yep, definitely hits.
damage is 7. And I'm also going to expend one of my what's it called? One of my astral sparks from my background, which gives it an additional +2 force damage. So 9 damage.
Yeah, so as you go and you just get like a great center punch right into the gut of that one goblin. And as you feel like it's solid, you can feel his like ribs collapse underneath of it, and then you use your little spark there and it blows out a little hole out of his back.
Perfect.
With that little extra force damage.
Cool. So I assume he's done then?
He goes floating off into space. Yeah,
Sweet.
yeah, his corpse is now floating off into the wild space there.
Fair. Okay, I will then move down to the boss, and I'll take my second attack on him. 15.
Alright, just give me
Yep.
Yeah, no, that does not hit.
No? Okay.
He's just able to, he's gotten used to your swings there, and he's managed to kind of duck under that one punch at the moment.
Okay, fair enough. At least I've engaged him, so... Alright, that'll be my turn then.
Okay. And then it moves on to the remaining 2 goblins. I'm gonna hit them with a quick little morale check, seeing their buddies get nuked. Oh, poor little guys. Watching their buddies get nuked, they are gonna panic, and they're just gonna try and jump off the ship to get away. So they will each potentially infer an opportunity attack from Chat and Nadir.
Perfect.
Absolutely, because that means that I can cast a spell.
Short sword 1d6, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Since I can't see my character sheet, it still won't come up. I got a 19 to hit without even
Nice.
adding modifiers, so
Yeah. That'll definitely hit him.
so that's 7 damage.
Yeah, so as he is fleeing away, he just leaves his back wide open, and you get a clear shot, and you just jam your sword right through right into, gotta hit a heart or something else vital, and shove him off your sword as he, again, limply floats off into space. Just like his other friends.
Also, Rick, I pulled up your character sheet, so if you need a number or anything, just let me know and I'll get you.
Appreciate
Well,
it.
that's nice.
No worries.
Solid. And then what did Nadir want to do for his opportunity attack?
He's going to cast Toll of the Dead. So he has to make a Wisdom 14 saving check.
Okay. Let me get that up here. Goblin Wisdom. Oh, no, that is a fail.
So he's going to take 6 damage.
Oh, he
Necrotic.
does just manage to hang on. You see as like a big black mass starts to
wait.
form around his ears and kind of...
Sorry, has he taken damage yet?
No, he has
Okay.
been lucky enough to be undamaged at this
All
point.
right. Then yeah, just the 6 then.
Yeah, because Toll the Dead does a little extra for that. Yeah, he does manage. He kind of like loses footing, drops down to one knee as he hears these loud bells kind of ring through his ears, and you see a little bit of blood pour out and like some black, tissue start to form around his ears. But he does manage to grab the edge of the ship and just kind of like haul himself over as he
Yeah.
slowly lifts off through space.
So, was that the last one who was on the ship?
There's the boss.
No, there's still the boss that's in front of Valerius. And so that's all of those goblins' turns, and it comes around to Kiaki.
Okay, so Kiaki finishes running up the stairs to the main deck. Let's see, I can move over.
Okay, so you would blow out probably there. What is the movement speed? 5, 10, 15, 20. Yeah, so you could get through the doors with 25 feet, and so you could, reposition up to 5 feet past the doors.
Okay, so like there. Yeah. So
Yep.
yeah,
But
Kyaki
definitely
runs up on the
doable.
main deck and she's like looking around. She's like, "Did I miss it?" And then she turns around onto the like upper deck, I guess is where they are with the boss, right? And
Mhm.
shoots a firebolt at him. Here we go.
Okay, so I would say that you can see the boss, but it will be
Oh.
at disadvantage because he is kind of covered by the
Oh.
tree and stuff like
Got
that,
a
just from the weird
Nat
angle.
20. Brutal. Okay. Well, it's still pretty good. 21.
Yeah, definitely hits.
Yeah.
Just no
For
extra
7 damage.
Yeah, you fling off a quick firebolt, and it, takes off or leaves a massive burn on his one shoulder, and it doesn't seem like his shield arm is very useful at this point. It seemingly is just kind of hanging there to the side.
Great. That's it for me.
And it's going to roll around to chat. This poor goblin's not even going to have a chance to run.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna shoot him.
What he gets.
Absolutely.
Fuck, that's a nat 1.
You said it was gonna happen.
Yeah, no, as you go to take your shot, your gun does jam, and it just doesn't even take no shot even fires out. You just gotta give it a quick reload and a clean.
Yeah, it's because I switched to non-digital dice since stupid internet.
I mean, I feel like this goblin, seeing just what happened to his buddies, everyone run and only one of them escaping, he's just gonna get down on his knees and, like, bow at Valerius's feet.
Wow.
And that's what he's gonna do for his turn, is just sit there and bow.
Oh. Wobbling.
And then that would move on to Nadir's turn.
I feel like the deer would see this as like perhaps a trap, and so he is going to cast. Sorry, you're definitely gonna want the timer for this one. I wasn't thinking that we would get this far. He's going to cast Bane on the goblin that's left there. So a 14 charisma save.
Oh, definitely nat 1'd it. So he completely and utterly failed it the worst way possible.
Hell yeah.
So a D4.
So and Bane gives him a.
It's a D4 against
can get
his
that point.
attacks or saving throws.
Okay, sounds good. And I'm assuming that's the end of Nadir's round.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
and so we move to Valerius as this little goblin. It's not saying much that's intelligent or intelligible. You can understand it is speaking common, so please no, and the odd little thing is not really, begging about a family or something like that. Just mercy, mercy, and, whatever other quick little words it can get out as it continues to just kind of grovel in front of Valerius.
Valerius is gonna reach down and just like palm the top of his head and just like lift him up, and just like yelling down to everyone else like, "Do we want to question him or are we just done with him?"
Whatever. Take it or leave it. It's your choice, Valerius.
I mean, I could shoot him from here.
He has surrendered, and I'm just gonna like throw him off the side of the ship.
Yeah, that's fine.
I didn't kill him. He's just gonna like
and
float.
You do get this. As you see him like kind of like float and like do little barrel rolls as he's floating through there, you do see his hands come together in like a little prayer, and hasn't maybe considered the fact that he's now floating adrift in wild space with a small air envelope, but he is happy to be alive.
He's got his buddies with him. Like, he'll be fine. He'll figure it out. Goblins are resourceful.
I guess he could tie their bodies together and make a raft or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I try to shoot at the other one more time?
The one that had fleed on its own? Yeah, you could absolutely
well.
take. He's got this one last shot that you would make.
That's a 15.
That does hit.
Sweet. For 8 damage.
Yeah, I feel like this is just kind of like a perfect little skeet shooting thing. It's just he's just slowly gliding out, and it's just getting to the very edge of Chat's range, and just lines it up beautifully and snipes him right in the chest, and then that gives him like this extra momentum as his corpse now flies even further off into space.
Which is perfect. Just took sharpshooter.
Yeah, you guys see the aftermath. There's obviously a little bit of blood on the deck. I feel like there would be, one or two corpses just kind of fell onto it, and the rest have all kind of floated off into space.
All right, Roomba.
And
Get
Archie's
cleaning.
gonna quickly come up, kind of take a quick consideration
Oh,
of
yeah,
it all,
Roomba?
and
Maybe.
he's gonna.
You answered.
The captain's gonna quickly pop his head up and be like, "What was going on? I heard shots and figured I should just stay out of the way." And he kind of sees the blood and kind of thinks about it for a second, and he then comes up with a mop, realizing that it would be not very nice for him to ask you guys to clean up after doing all of that work. And he does do, quick little tidy up of the space. Nothing really needs to be done, but he
As soon
cleans
as
up
I
a bit
see
of the
him
blood.
come up with the mob, I'm like, no, I've got this, and just call Crunch, and Crunch comes and just cleans it up.
Likes it up?
Yeah.
He's
Just like butt scoots along the ship and like.
Crunch has now acquired a taste for blood and will do whatever it can to acquire meat. The captain is more than happy to not have to do the cleanup work and quickly, throws the mop away, almost trying to make it look like he wasn't gonna do that. And he just quickly, seeming that everything is done, heads back off to keep you guys moving towards your destination. You guys would have an evening flying through, so you guys would definitely have to take some sort of shifts, and you guys would have the ability to grab a long rest before you get to your destination to top up on anything there.
Absolutely.
And the rest of the flight would probably be, wouldn't probably, I guess I get to decide. I am the master of this world. The rest of the flight is fairly unavoidable, or, uninteresting. You guys do see the odd, creatures. You do see a little clutch of jammer leeches kind of trying to just list around, hoping for a ship to, latch onto. We see some more Kindori far off in the distance. Maybe the same pod you saw last time, who knows? But outside of that, you maybe think you see what could have been a tail of a solar dragon peeking out of the sun, but also it could just be a solar flare. Who knows? Your night goes by uneventfully, and you guys are, kind of just staged at this point. The captain has stopped the ship, and you guys are about, an hour away from where your job is, where the bombard is supposed to be scuttled. And he kind of goes and he gets the briefing room established, and you guys, he kind of hauls you all down there, and you do see he doesn't have much to really, provide for this, but he does like to make it seem like he's at least being some part of this mission as he kind of, facilitates the planning part. And you do see a little model of a bombard. He does seemingly have models for most ships that are common on, out in this Astral Sea. You're not sure if that's because he's just very fastidious and wants to make sure that you guys can plan really well, or if he's just a real big fangirl of ships in a bottle. Who knows? Just loves it. He's got it all set up, and he's got even like little minis for each of you guys to represent you. Chat and Nadir don't have as elaborately carved ones. They're a little more nondescript, but seemingly represent you somewhat. And he gets you guys all set up, and he says, "Well, I have no idea how to do this, but what do you guys think?" And he just kind of, has this little plan out. He seems to think that you guys are going to need to use force. He says, at the end of the day, I can't imagine anyone is going to want us to mess around with this. I think you guys should just go in guns a-blazing. And that's about as much plan as he seems to have.
Do we know anything about the captain? What was her name?
The captain was, what did I write down?
Something.
I know that she's nicknamed No Eyes. Beatrice No Eyes. She is a very old GIF. Archie would know a little bit about her. He would say, well, one of the big things is that she lost one of her eyes and went blind in the other. and so she has a seeing eye wolf that she uses, but she seemingly still
That's
has
sick.
a lot of knowledge, and especially when she's hooked up to her ship, you don't need eyes when you're in a spelljamming helm. But yeah, outside of that, she's not known for, age has calmed the storm a little bit for Beatrice, although she still is a GIF and is, not generally a fan of people affronting her honor or her prestige, and so yeah, it's unlikely that she will be the most forthcoming in this interaction, as her job was to deliver this equipment untouched.
Here's what I suggest.
I like her.
Valerius is the face. He just so happens to be a gift. So why don't we approach with a white flag and send him as an envoy, perhaps looking to pay top dollar for the weapons or some kind of ruse like that. And while he's on there, he can scope the ship out for us to give us a sense of how easily infiltratable.
What if we, seemingly do the same thing we did with the other Spelljammer-less ship and tell them we're here to help? We're just kind souls.
What if they reject us?
Archie quickly thinks about it. He's like, oh. Archie says, they might, but I don't know many people who are going to turn away help when you're stuck out in the middle of wild space without a helm to get around. That could do well. He really seems to enjoy that concept. It seems that he would prefer that one over the combat, as he has a little more skill in diplomacy than he does, actually fighting.
I say, but I'm cleaning my musket as I'm saying that.
I mean, I'm always willing to go and talk to another honorable individual such as myself. If that is what we would like, I will bravely march forward to speak to our potential adversary.
Well, I think either way it should be Valerius that goes and speaks with her. But yes, under the ruse as friends and not foes.
Yeah, Archie is happily, he's nodding head along. He's like, yeah, I mean, I feel like we combine those two plans. What else can we do here? He figures that, coming in, showing a kind of a white flag in a sense to make them feel comfortable, and then telling them that they're there to help. And after that, I don't know if he has really figured out what he would do once you have them on your hook, but he feels that that's at least a very good start.
We could drop the feather anchor on them so they can't escape if we try to steal the guns.
Well, they already can't escape. They don't have a helm.
Yeah. Fitz's man has, as far as you guys understand, has already teleported out the helm. You haven't gotten a hard confirmation on that, but Fitz seems to believe that his man will get that done.
Did we get a name for his man on the inside?
No, he seemingly didn't want to give you much more details beyond that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm thinking now we should have asked more, because that could be helpful.
That might.
They wouldn't have a.
I mean, it's a pretty easy snatch and grab job.
Is it?
Well, and so,
is it ever with you?
Yeah, or at least that's how Fitz seemed to lay it out, at least, right? There was just going to be a ship there. It seemingly is fairly old, and its crew is not known for being the most aggressive fighters out there. They probably will put up a fight if it came to it, but he has faith in your guys' ability to acquire the weaponry however you see fit.
So I'll mention to the captain that I could possibly sneak in, and I'll use my chameleon carapace as I say that to try and blend in with the background and disappear.
Yeah, he thinks about that. He's like, yeah, I think what we'll do then is, and he kind of lays out a fairly rudimentary, but at least piecing it all together plan of his way he sees it going would be him and Nadir go down, distracting them. Chat can use that moment to stealth in and infiltrate into the ship and, at least locate where the guns are for ease of removal, or at the very least, and, maybe to provide a little backup if things go sideways.
Yeah.
So, take the guns off the ship? Are they, in containers or something?
Yeah, like they would be boxed up in cargo, and there would be quite a few. You would assume that the ship probably has a full cargo hold. But yeah, like your goal is just to get those guns back to Fitz. I don't know how he doesn't really care. I guess if you towed the ship back to him, I don't see why he would have any issue. And you saw how elaborately set up his location is. He would probably be capable of handling, whoever's on the ship at that point.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess my only worry is that they don't want us to take the guns off the boat, and then we have to fight.
Yeah, well, I would assume that they would probably be unhappy about it. Like, who really knows how it goes and how
Yeah.
serious they are? But from the sound of Beatrice, she's not going to let you guys affront her honor by just walking on and leaving with her cargo by any means. You would have to be a little more sneaky if you're hoping to avoid combat.
Hilarious, it's your time to shine, my man.
All right. Well,
Sparkle.
let's go meet my next adoring fan.
Yeah, the captain seems to be fairly happy with your guys' plan and seeing where it'll roll out. So he goes back to the helm and takes you guys the last little distance, and you do see a bombard just sitting lazily out there. You can see that it is fairly old. The ship has been probably operating for, at least 100 cycles at this point. You see rust is all over the cannon, although you feel that cannon is still a very, very formidable thing to consider. And the cannon shoots like directly out from the center of the ship, going facing to the forward side of it, and otherwise, it's just a very simple ship built around it. Nothing as fanciful as the almost camo-like coloring of the Kurd. And you do see them just kind of listing there lazily. You do see the crew quickly, once you guys kind of come into sight, you are able to, see them kind of run around, and you assume that they're, prepping their weapons and stuff like that. But nothing fires at you at this moment by any means. They just seem to be preparing and seeing what is going on. You would notice that on the ship there is obviously the cannon itself, as well as... Where do they even actually have extra weapons? Oh yeah, and you see 2 ballistas on either side of the ship.
Okay.
Hanging off the back end of the ship there. And they seem to be loading them and prepping them, but they're not... And, like, getting them fairly aimed, but not, like, aimed directly at your guys' ship. It would seem that they're, threatening, but not attacking.
Does the cannon not work without
So, yeah,
the
captain
spelljamming helm?
gets you locked in. I would say that would be... Give me a... I'll just say that. Yeah, just give me an intelligence check to see if Kiaki has some knowledge of how a bombard functions.
Can I make one as well? Maybe with advantage,
17.
because I'm also a GIF.
Yeah, I would say that, Valerius has at least spent some time on a bombard, so yeah, absolutely give me an intelligence roll with advantage as well.
18 and a 3, so 18.
Nice. So both of you would know that there is no way a GIF is going to have a gun that can't fire. So it would be completely independent of any other system. It is just a cannon with, they load up their black powder or whatever they use to fire it into the back of it and shoot it. There is no requirement of anything else beyond that. So if you guys put your ship in front of that cannon, it would definitely be able to fire.
Yeah, we have to be careful of that.
Yeah, maybe go around to the side.
The back. Go to the back.
Back.
Well, the back has
Yeah, the captain has been very careful of it. Sorry, what? The back has the... the back does have the ballistas, but there's really no way for you to... And the only way for you to avoid the ballistas and the cannon would be to go underneath of the ship.
We could do that. We still give them air.
You guys can definitely approach from under there.
Might
That
be a little sus.
probably would seemingly be a bit of a weird move. If someone came
Yeah.
underneath my ship, I would be questioning their motives. I
Yeah.
feel like the captain would be currently like just getting you out of, so the only target you guys can be hit by is one ballista at the moment, so just kind of coming up on the side of the ship would probably be where he would be positioning it, as he would then hop off the helm, leave it for Kiaki or Nadir if they wanted to control it, because that might not be a terrible idea for a quick getaway.
Yeah,
And then
I'll
he'll
do it.
get in position with Chat and Valerius to get ready to jump off towards the other ship.
Sure.
Sounds good.
Yeah. And you guys said that you wanted Chat to kind of be able to go in stealthily, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I think so.
Nadir would be
Yeah.
willing to go with Valerius, like, directly.
Sure.
Unless we really
yeah.
wanted him to go in by himself.
The captain's obviously not gonna fight against having an extra person to defend him if things go sideways on the ship, so it would definitely be down to whether Nadir or someone else on the ship has an opinion about it.
All right, then Nadir's gonna go with him.
Sounds good. So yeah, I'm assuming that Chat will jump a little later than the other three then, so he can let them have some distraction time or whatever.
Or, I mean, at the same time, I'll be blended in. I have advantage on stealth, so if we all land basically...
Yeah, I feel like... How well does it provide that, or does it just give you advantage on stealth? Because I feel like still, if a brown bug comes flying at my ship and then lands on my ship, I'm gonna notice him, even if he kind of blends into my space.
But it's like a chameleon carapace, though, so it's like... Not quite predator, you know, but still, I could blend in, like, if the space was the background, then I could, you know, blend in with, like, stars and blackness and whatever.
Yeah, so then would you, like, want to try and, like, maybe grab onto, like, the side of the ship, or are you going to try and land where they're landing? That's my only thing, is I think that if they were, like, because the eyes are going to obviously be on that crew coming down and landing on the ship, so I feel like if you were near them, that they would still probably pick you out at some point, just from the fact of, you know, movement and other stuff like that, right, when you land on the ship. But if you kind of, like, you know, we're just off to the side of them and then hit the side of the ship, you probably, it's fairly unlikely that you would get noticed. I think it would still require a stealth check, but yeah, if you were coming to just try and, like, land on the ship, it would be, like, disadvantage for sure.
Yeah,
if you're gonna roll with the crew.
No, I could do well. I mean, that would just balance it out at that point, but yeah, I could do the side.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that sounds good. So yeah,
Cade, can you
unless what
my stealth modifier is?
For sure. Your stealth modifier is a +6. Holy crap.
I knew it was good. So that is a 24.
He'll be off on this.
Jesus. You are the ship.
Yeah, there's no question. There's no way that any of them would be able to notice you. The wolf maybe does pay, like, a small, like, what the heck is going on, but it doesn't seem to, like, you know, alert anyone or seem too worried. It just maybe caught, like, a weird little scent that went away along the path or something.
It's the treats in my pocket.
So yeah, you managed to grab onto the side of the ship, kind of away from where other people are seeing. Just give me one more second. Lay out this scene a bit better. So Chat would be kind of just hanging off the side of the ship. And then I'm going to assume that you guys are just going to kind of land fairly center of the ship otherwise.
Also, just FYI, for some reason, like, I could pull up other stuff, but D&D Beyond and Owlbear Rodeo would not load for me. So, I don't know what in the world's going on.
It's really weird.
Right?
Yeah, that is very strange, especially because it's just one, right? Like, I did have a little hiccup with D&D Beyond on my end. Oh, actually, this kind of being a little annoying and is not super wanting to load very well. But yeah, I'm not sure that's true, especially for both of them to go down at the same time.
Right.
And that was Chad. Who else? Oh no, yeah, I guess just Valerius, Nadir, and then the captain, which I'll just give. And are you guys wanting to be, like, flying a white flag or anything like that?
I mean, I feel like we probably should.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll say that the captain is holding one as he flies
Ruin,
down.
you're muted, by the way.
Yeah, you're muted, Rune.
Yeah, sorry, I was just having like a moral conflict whether Nadir would want to hold it. I think he'd pass on holding it, but he wouldn't care if anybody else did.
You mean it doesn't just like pop out the top of your head or something?
I
Like,
thought about it, like a little antenna.
Well,
yeah, like how
really
R2D2
cute.
shoots out the lightsaber. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
You guys up here, actually. And yeah, you guys, as you kind of come towards down landing on your spot, it does seemingly be that No Eyes, or Beatrice No Eyes there, has enough of a sensibility of where you guys were going to be landing, that she's kind of just standing right in front of where you would land. So maybe not as useless with these lack of eyes as some people would consider. And as you guys come down, you do notice that the only like actual like sentient crew on the ship is just 4 other plasmids. So there's Beatrice No Eyes, her wolf, and these 4 other plasmids, and the rest are just these really small constructs that seemingly don't have any more to them than just facilitating their role of loading and operating the ballista. So they kind of run around, grab bolts, and crank it and aim, and that is about it. They don't even seem like they could do any damage to you beyond like bump into you. Yeah, so you guys land. You do see the plasmoids do have their weapons at the ready. They are allowing you guys to do their thing. They seemingly hold on to this threatening but not attacking kind of position as you land in front of a very old Gif. She is covered in wrinkles, which is already weird for a potential hippo person that might already have some wrinkles, but her wrinkles have wrinkles that have wrinkles. If you like, it's not even very common to see a Gif of this age simply because of how focused they are in their battle and glory and stuff. That one to reach this age has either been very un-GIF-like or has been very successful in their journeys to this point. And you do see, yeah, she you would assume she has no eyes as she wears an eye patch over both eyes and has just a simple, you know, dark brown wolf standing beside her with a little leash to the side.
Yeah, as we land, Valerius. I double checked. There is no like GIF language in the book, but I don't know. Using turns of phrase and things that would help identify that he is GIF to a blind GIF. Just like, hello, Beatrice No Eyes. Your reputation precedes you, as I'm sure mine does as well. Valerius Strongarm, at your behest. We see that you may be having some trouble. We would like to volunteer our skills to help get you back up on your feet, and just help one as honorable and respected as yourself in any way that we can.
She does quickly put your hand out and give you the traditional, whatever you might deem that. I don't know what you would see as a GIF's traditional handshake or the like, but very quickly picks up the fact that you are a GIF and yeah, is not maybe relieved about it, but has been just slightly like opened up a bit. There isn't maybe as much aggression. You know, she's relaxed her muscles just a little bit as she thinks about it and thinks, oh, I mean, yeah, I mean, we could obviously use your help. We've been trapped here for a while. The only thing I have to ask is, how did you know we were out here? As far as I understand, my employers had told no one, and we were running this shipment fairly quietly. And didn't think that there was going to be anyone on these trade lines at this time.
We are not traders. We were on our way to another destination when we saw your ship here and noticed that it was stationary. It wasn't moving. We had also run into another ship on our travels earlier who had had some issues with their helm, and it seems that they're maybe some bandits about that are stealing or manipulating people's helms, so we thought we would just stop in and make sure that all was good.
She's gonna say, that is very kind of thinking for a word. It settles on neighborly of you. That's strange for wild spaces. She kind of scrutinizes what you're thinking. I'm gonna need you to make a persuasion check for me, please.
That's a nat 20 for 24.
Perfect timing.
Okay, good, because she got a nat 20 for hers as well, but I believe that would be, I was going to throw an insight to see against yours, so that's only a 21 for her, so you still end up topping it out. And she's like, I mean, I've heard of stranger things on the Astral Sea. There's the odd hero and, you know, do well that seems to want to make a name for themselves out here. And, I mean, what are the odds that you've seen someone else like this? Like, I didn't realize that this was a common practice. I didn't know many people were going around stealing helms.
Nor I. It is quite concerning, obviously, for all of us.
Mm-hmm. And she does stop to think for a second at the thought of whether she had said anything about her helm being gone, and can't really just recall about that at all, and it just keeps going on in the conversation. Yeah, like, I mean, we could obviously use a tow. What do you guys have in mind for some sort of help?
Well, if there's any way that we can connect our ships together, we would be obviously more than willing to help. Yes, just like that. Thank you, Kayla. We would happily tow you to, port or something along those lines. We obviously don't have a second helm that we'd be able to bring over, but we can get our ships close enough to share air, such way you're not going stale, and obviously help in any way that we can.
She takes stock of it, and she says, I mean, I'm gonna have to take a leap on this one. There's no way that we're gonna get out of this otherwise. We haven't been able to even source a helm, let alone someone to bring one out to us. Whatever port you can take us to would be grand if you could. And she kind of thinks about all the options, and clearly getting out of this system and anywhere further would be far too long of a journey, and is expecting to have to at least pay some sort of fee. She doesn't really particularly think you guys are doing this out of the pure kindness of your heart. And so she kind of wraps. I mean, if you guys could get us to Durkane, we would happily pay you a reasonable fee for the tow.
Yeah, Valerius looks back at the others and is like, well, Durkane. I mean, we could probably make Durkane work, right? Like,
and the
Nadier's just
captain,
gonna,
a little
nod
smile, listening. He's
vigorously.
like, absolutely, yes.
yeah.
Durkane works perfectly.
Yeah.
I mean, where else would we take you? You're not going to get a helm anywhere else anyways.
Yeah,
Obviously,
so...
she, again, just being fairly shrewd and scrutinizing, you do see a little bit more relaxed come off of her. She clearly had no idea how she was going to get her crew home, and is fairly happy. And so she says, yeah, what kind of fee would you guys be requiring for this kind of kindness?
I don't know. Honestly, the thought hadn't crossed our minds. We just saw someone in need, and I will admit I had to do a little bit of persuading for the rest of my crew. Wanting obviously to help out my fellow GIF. Yes, I don't know. You said you were hauling something for an employer? Is there anything in there? Maybe we can do a trade rather than money. You will need money for a new helm, obviously. So, we don't want to deprive you of the coin that you need.
You very quickly see her, again, tighten back up, right back to where you guys had landed, and is very, on edge again. She says, I mean, that there is absolutely no way that any of our cargo could ever be touched at this point. We have been paid far too much to deliver it. She says, I have more than enough in my coffers to pay whatever fee you would want. But yeah, there's absolutely no way you guys can have anything from in there.
Okay, all right. No problem. Look, if you want to keep your, you know,
Impressive.
crates of watermelons or whatever you are hauling, that is fine by us. I was just curious. Tell you what,
She
we'll
is going
get
to
you
make-
back to Durkane, and we'll work out something there.
As you say that, the captain then kind of like brushes you aside. Oh, no, we can't leave business that long. No one wants to get dropped off and find out that they have a massive check owing. Let us settle out a price for this. And he kind of does, some math and quick arithmetic on it. And he's like, well, the fee to get out here, and we got to charge you a little bit for our restock of air and stuff. And he quickly rounds down. He's like, I think we could easily haul you for 250 gold pieces. I believe that will be a fair price. And she takes a moment to kind of think it over and says, I mean, it's a little steep. I don't know how you're charging us for air with a living ship that produces it for free, but I mean, I can't say no. The price is clearly yours to set. And she does think, and she does have kind of a little moment. You see a little like aha moment come on her face, even though I just said that is the most awkward way. You see a little aha fall over her face there, and she says, there is one thing though. It is strange that you guys are out here. The only way we could possibly be towed has to be from our cannon. So yeah, there's just no other way. I don't think our ship could even withstand anything else. So yeah, as long as you can hook from your ship to our cannon, we would absolutely appreciate the tow.
Yeah, so since chat...
So from the quick description, the cannon would be pointing at the back of your ship.
Yeah, kind
is from what she's kind of implying.
Yeah, since chat can communicate telepathically anyway, he's just like, that seems like a really bad idea.
Now,
oh yeah, does chat want to be doing anything else? They're clearly distracted. He would have more than easy enough time doing anything else.
Yeah, I mean, partially he was just kind of listening, but like at the same time he's going to try and find the cargo at the very least.
Yeah, I think that it would be easy enough with his stealth ability. He would, probably move to a part of the ship where he sees where everyone currently is. So he wouldn't, have too much struggle, just kind of rooting his way. And as this conversation would have unfolded a little bit more, I don't think he would struggle too much to find the cargo hold. And inside it would just be crates and crates full of muskets and short swords and armor.
Okay. So, I mean, does it seem like there's any way that we could easily move this?
Not without the people on the ship noticing. These are fairly sizable crates. It would be at least, a 2, maybe 3-man lift to move them each out, and they're quite loud with, everything rattling around inside of them. So yeah, there wouldn't be any easy way, timely way. It would probably take you a couple hours to offload this cargo.
Sure. I didn't know if there was like a magic forklift or something.
No, I mean, the ship does have a crane on it, which they use for loading the cannon and probably hauling out some cargo and stuff, but then you guys would have to use the crane to do anything like that.
No.
Yeah. So I think Valerius would be willing to accept hauling them with the cannon pointed at us. On the one, caveat that probably but one of our crew is able to stay on their ship to make sure they're not getting ready to fire it at us.
When you do say that, you do see a little smile curl up on her lips and stuff. She's more than happy to have what at least she would imagine is a prisoner on her ship. It seems like a win-win. She's got a gun pointed at your back and a prisoner. There's no way she's gonna say no to that. She says, absolutely. Which one of your crew would like to ride on this pleasure cruise we're about to go on?
I would be willing to, if no one else is really jumping at the chance.
Nadir would volunteer.
It's always fine to have another gift. She would probably happily take 2. I feel like as long as at least one person is on the ship, she will not have a complaint.
Only 2.
I'm not trapped in here with you. You're trapped in here with me. Yeah. I think that's the second time this stream we've made that joke.
I think so.
Yeah.
But yeah, she seems more than happy and is as quick to get her plasmoids to do whatever that they can to get the ship ready for a tow. And yeah, the captain quickly hops off and goes gliding towards the ship and explains to Kiaki to back the ship up in front of the other ship, and then they're gonna start lashing them together.
If you're sure.
And he says, I mean, they're willing to let us take them, hand deliver the gear. I can't think of an easier thing. No bloodshed. I mean, well, no bloodshed by our hands at the very least. He seems fairly happy with this overall arrangement.
Is there any way we can get a message to Fitz to let him know that we're bringing him the whole ship?
I would say at this current moment that is not something that anyone had prepared for, unless someone has, sending or another similar spell. But otherwise, the captain has not equipped any sort of walkie-talkie. They have their little go-between. I think Fitz can communicate with you guys, but communicating back is not very easy.
Well, it'll be a surprise, won't it?
Maybe a surprise.
Fitz loves surprises. He can't get enough of them.
Oh, here's what we do. We get close enough, we use the feather to anchor them, and we go the rest of the distance if we can, Does that make sense?
Yeah.
No.
That's
So we use the feather to
just
anchor
drop
them,
them right beside.
just so they can't go anywhere, and then we sail off to go get Fitz.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah, so you mean kind of drop them off a little short distance away from Fitz, lock them down so they can't move, and then move on from there.
The cannon's still a huge problem.
And then we put the pitcher with mayonnaise in the cannon, so it fills the cannon with mayonnaise.
There it is.
Brilliant.
I have mage hand. I could probably
feel like
pour
that
the
should just
mayonnaise
be a
in there.
gift weapon. I like the idea of Gift just having a cannon lined full of alchemy or jugs of alchemy, and they have mayonnaise cannons.
Oh my god. Explode on
Perfect
impact.
Mm-hmm. You just get coated in a big thick layer of mayonnaise, slowing your ship down.
I think I downloaded the wrong Spelljammer. Sorry.
Absolutely.
Low hanging fruit.
Alright, I was thinking the same thing.
But yeah, I don't think you guys would have too much struggle getting the ship tied together. It's not too hard to run some lines against, two ships that are just, slowly waiting there, not doing anything else. So unless there's anything else you guys want to particularly set up about this plan, I would assume that Beatrice and her crew will just be happy to get towed towards Durkane.
All right.
Solid.
Yeah, so you guys get the ship all set up and underway, and you start heading towards Durkane, and we are getting pretty late. So much for my whole I might not even get through 2 hours thing here, so I feel like this is kind of the nice wrapping up point as you guys head towards Durkane. You seem to have, at least this point, completed your job to the current abilities you guys have, and yeah, you have a short trip back.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Yeah, and that's that. That's the wrap up of session 2. Misadventures on the Astral Sea. Thanks
Got
for
a lot
anyone that
done
took the
tonight.
time to listen to us.
It's definitely a misadventure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, you were told to bring the guns. I don't know how Fitz will feel about a U-Haul full of guns, but also that's better than no guns.
That's right.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe we can strip the ship back at what's her name's?
Beatrice.
Glarbia.
Oh no, that
No,
one. Yeah, right.
Claudia.
Claudia Charon.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, he said bring the guns. We're bringing literally all of the
All
guns.
of them.
All of the guns.
Mhm.
It's fine.
And an extra
And
ship.
an even bigger one on top of it.
Yeah.
An extra ship
I mean,
you could
yeah,
sell.
that's
I
That's.
what
think
I
that's
mean.
worth a bonus.
I think
Yeah,
so.
that's what I mean by all the guns. Literally every gun possible.
Yeah. Before we sign off, Rick, do your plugs.
Dungeon Master Rick, Hammer of the Gods. That's me. Keep it short. It's late. I'm tired.
Kayla, do your plugs.
I'm Kayla, one of 2 gal pals from Potions and Potpourri podcast.
Ruin, do our plugs.
So I'm Ruined Ortega. I am the co-host of Cantrips and Coffee along with Cade. Jaden is one of our regular players, and every week we review different tabletop systems to let you know where to put your hard-earned dollars.
Man, he's so on point. I gotta get better about that. He's got a fucking script, man. He's just like, boom.
Awesome.
I mean, I didn't even think about it, so you guys were already far ahead of what anything I could have done.
Perfect.
Thanks, Jaden.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Thanks, Jaden.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah, no
Awesome.
problem, guys.
And thanks everybody for watching. I'm gonna go to the end stream here thing, and then we'll find somebody to raid. So stick around and go pop into their chat when we're done. Thanks
to
everybody.
the one person that watched us tonight.
We had like
Be the real
8 at
MVP.
one point.
Yeah, we were good. We were
doing well. We're up to 3 now. All right,
All right.
going to the end stream. Good night, everybody.